All right, we are live, and we're going to be starting here in a couple minutes with Crazy Kaylee versus Pwn Noob. I am joined by Warning Track.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm very excited about this. We've gotten a lot of live matches lately. We've been spoiled.
Yeah, it's great. Where I'm kind of curious to see which person might be more affected by that sort of thing, but I have a feeling that neither one's really going to care. I think that Crazy Kaylee has played live enough times where it's not going to matter too much, and I don't find Noob to be the kind of person that's affected too much by a setting. I think he just kind of does what he does.
He does, but he's also very opponent centric, which is one of the reasons I think he has a better chance than most to upset Kaylee. And anytime Kaylee loses, make no mistake, it is an upset. But he is willing to do what it takes. You know, a lot of players, they have their style, they're very set. Kaylee's actually a good example, right? He's not going to convince him to become a behavioralist just because he thinks that might be good against you. He's going to play his style and dare you to beat him that way. And a lot of players are like that, but Noob is not. Noob is very fluid. He will do what he thinks he has to do against a given opponent, which makes him an interesting challenge for Kaylee.
All right, well, I don't know if we got fed any information about coin flipping and whatnot.
Oh, we did. I have the most important piece of information, which is that
great.
Kaylee called tails.
Ooh.
That's all you need to know. No, tails won, and Kaylee picks the veranda map set. Specifically, that's the Terrace Ballroom veranda map set. Which makes sense because he had particularly good win rates on Ballroom and Veranda. I think did not lose a sniper game on Veranda or Ballroom in Season 4 of SCL, for example. So good choice there. And unsurprisingly, Noob picks the Tayen map set. So it's pretty much exactly what we would have expected based on their relative win rates and reputations.
Gotcha. All right. Well, I don't know if they're waiting for us to be giving them sort of a heads up. Okay, cool. Is there anything? Sure. I don't know if there's anything else we really need to say. I think that both of these players have enough of a reputation where most of the... Oh, let me turn off the people joining the spectating chat, though.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. Okay. It also means that people cannot message me because I did the line 0 thing. But other than that, are we trying autoplay or no? I want to set that up real quick.
I have autoplay on, but I'm happy to go either way.
Okay. As long as I don't think it'll get unsynced too much. So as long as that happens, let me go ahead and turn autoplay on.
All right. Shall I tell them to go?
Believe so. Yeah, I think we're ready to go.
Okay, they're going. In and ready. And as you can see, Noob is electing to start on library. and he's going to start on Spy as library specifically. Pretty darn good map for Noob in season 4. He played 31 library games in season 4, which is about twice as many as any other venue. 69% Spy win rate, 73% Sniper win rate.
Gotcha. All right, we've jumped in, and we have Noob here on. I actually can't see the front of the twin. I guess that would be Bling Twin.
It is Blink Twin, yeah. And this set, clearly Kaylee's best of the three, the other ones being, of course, Terrace and Tayen. But his reputation for library is a little outsized. It's just the best in this set. But as I mentioned before, he was actually stronger on several other venues last season.
All right, well, we step in for a quick flirt. We make Smallman our seduction target. I'm very curious if we're going to be doing something in particular with that. I do not believe that is a mistake. I definitely don't believe that's a mistake, so I wonder if we're going to be trying to do anything with that. Smallman's not exactly the most suspicious character on a map like Library. Usually there's more Smallman ploys on something like Gallery or
Right.
Tayen. But I'm curious if that's more of a backup plan of like
Yeah.
trying to get something done later. But interesting choice right there at the get go.
Well, there are two possible rationales for it. One is that, yeah, you want to do some sort of red flirt shenanigans and make him bounce around. But much more likely is that when you make Smallman the seduction target, you guarantee he will be in the party and not be an SDA.
And we just right now we're just starting off pretty mild. We're just going for flirts and fingerprint. No highlights as of yet. Maybe a highlight will come in for the second fingerprint. I don't actually know if Kaylee tracks fingerprints via highlights at all. Anyway,
No, he uses them. He uses highlights kind of the way I do. It's very granular information tracking, and on library in particular, it's normally going to be statue visits. He will notice fingerprints, but he's human. There are so many fingerprints sometimes on library that he will miss one sometimes.
all right, we are going for screen shakes from Noob as we do not get the difficult fingerprint, and that's too bad because that would have been pretty strong. I think we would have been at both bookcases, which may have been a little suspicious. We kind of jump out of that conversation circle after we get the seduction target, knowing that Kaylee is not really paying attention too much. And we're making good, solid progress on the non-important missions, or the non-difficult missions, I should say. Also importantly, it looked like Smallman got low-lit earlier on, and I'm not sure for what.
I'm not either, but 2 highlights knocked out by the banana bread. That's a little rough, certainly. And yeah, Noob is just going to disrespect the etiquette things and the soft tell things as much as he can and just hope that he can sneak those hard tells by late. And you asked earlier about character selection. I did talk to Noob yesterday, and he made it clear that his character selection today is going to be very deliberate.
All right. Well, we do get the fingerprint on this book. So far, it's really hard to tell how suspicious we are. We have 3 of 5 missions done, and all like this is very how to say confident opening, where it's just I need to. This is your vegetable sort of. Oh, and we're doing pillar strats. Okay. So
Yep.
getting 3 missions done and then going for pillar strats. This is on me all on whether or not Noob is exactly in the right spot or not. It doesn't look like he's able to be seen, but whether or not we're going to be suspicious, I'm
The
wondering.
bug is invisible. Bug
It
is
is.
invisible. That was not seen.
And here we go. This is it, right
Moment of
here.
truth.
This would be a
Can Kaylee
huge
shoot?
pickup.
I mean, he can infer this, though. It's a suspicious time to go. He must have known that a bug was possible, but I just don't know if he can take the shot. The trick is, don't let him think you could be inspect swapping. Get out of there without blocking it.
And
Oh,
it's
he's thinking
enough.
about it.
It's enough. Oh my goodness.
Now, that was really interesting. On the sniper side, Kaylee shook his camera. He clearly did not like taking that shot. He was unhappy because you know how Kaylee thinks about this. He wants to confirm. He doesn't want to shoot for probabilities. He wants to shoot for certainties whenever possible. That's why he camps. But in that case, he had to take a shot outside of his comfort zone, but it happened to be the right one.
Well, I mean, that's sort of of the ways to lose on that one. It's not the worst because, as you're saying, Kaylee is starting off on an uncomfortable shot immediately. That's a back foot that you don't want to be put on if all of your strength seems to be your sniper play, or at least that's what you're known for.
Yeah,
So
that's a really rough thing for Noob because he clearly played exactly the game he wanted to play and did it almost perfectly and still lost. I think the problem was knocking out those highlights with that banana bread. Kaylee was able to really focus on his suspects. He didn't really, even though he didn't see anything definitive, he just didn't have that many suspects to watch late, which means he was able to sit there and really ponder it out and take an uncertain shot with a little more confidence maybe than he normally would.
And it also may have been as simple as if he had gotten away with that difficult fingerprint on yellow bookcase in the beginning of the game, he might have been able to do that 15 to 20 seconds earlier and without having to visit 3 fingerprint sites. I think it may have also been the 3rd fingerprint site that really got Kaylee comfortable
I
shooting.
I think you're right. If he's finishing up those inspects after that bug, with a minute 40 left, is Kaylee really going to feel he has to take that shot, or is he going to wait? A lot harder to shoot. But he knows at that time, with about 40 seconds left and a center statue visitor and suspect in general, it's going to be a lot harder to hold your shot.
All right, well, so far we haven't done too much. We've had an innocent book take, and we're going to be probably putting it back with. Wait. What?
He's all over it. Oh no, Noob is all over it. He knows that Kaylee is very aggressive with those books. He will yank the book out, not wait long enough. Clearly, Noob was just all over the book cheese.
And so
And
it'll
I know
look.
cheese isn't really the right word, right? Because he put it back, but it was book shenanigans, right? And Noob knows very well that Kaylee likes to do that sort of thing.
Yeah, and so I think the book shenanigan then would have been pretending to put it back, waiting for the laser to go away, and then not putting it back. I believe was the play that Kaylee was trying to do, where he was going to be taking book out, reading it for a second or whatever. I don't know exactly where he went with it, and then putting it back in the bookcase, starting the book put back animation, and then as Noob's laser turns away on library, walking away with the book, and then later just appearing at another bookshelf with what appears to have been a book that was just there all along.
Yeah, could be. Certainly something a little fancy like that, but Noob just all over it. I mean, he knows how Kaylee plays library. He has a lot of games available to study because Kaylee plays library so often. So he's just ready for it. That's just good game planning. And speaking of game planning, if this mission setup that we're looking at right now holds, it'll be no swap and no fingerprint, leaving Purloin on instead of fingerprint is interesting. I think what we're going to see here is Noob is going to lean into a coin flip scenario.
All right, well, we are 1-1, and man, the live thing, it's gonna be hard for me to remember to update score, but hopefully I
I'll
do.
try to remind you.
Yeah.
I'll try to remind you. Yeah, I think I mentioned earlier that Noob will do what it takes. He's okay just saying, you know what, I'm going to try to get it down to 50-50. 50-50 are great odds against most top snipers, and they're definitely good odds against Kaylee, whose win rate is always higher than that. So even on a map like Pub, if you can get Kaylee down to a coin flip where he has to take a difficult shot, like he did on Library, you'll take it. Oh, wow.
Okay, well, unfortunately, we have most of the party low lit at this point, and it's going to be very difficult for Noob to get anything done, really. I mean, so.
I don't think he's going to try to, though. I think he's totally comfortable saying it's one of these three people, and I'm just going to try to frame one of them.
And I'm going to guess that's going to be Taft, because we have most control over our seduction target in this case. We will be able to delegate to the person of our choice. Well, so. I'm guessing that we are going to try to join Taft in a conversation. It would be great if Taft happened to come over to us right now. But the thing is, like, at this point, though, there's so few people it could be that even if we were Taft, would we be comfortable delegating? Like, I'm just trying to put myself in the shoes of the spy.
Yeah. I think you'd have to be. Yeah. I think he's gonna be the delegator. I think he's going to wait for. Yep, there it is. He's gonna wait for Taft to talk. And he red flirts him, so it looks like Taft talked and bailed.
Right.
To try to hide the Purloin, and he's gonna try to get Taft shot right here. I think Kaylee's going to get it right, but this is a tough shot. It's another tough shot. How confident can you be?
Yeah,
yep, there it is.
I think you're right that he got the read on that one, but that's already with very. This has been a very heady set so far. There has not been like a clear absolute shot. The players have had to infer about the other person, and to be clear, making Kaylee be in that sort of game is not putting him in his comfort zone.
Yeah. Yeah, right now, so it's kind of, I don't want to say bad luck exactly, right? But you're putting Kaylee in shots where you cannot possibly be certain. I think the timing was a little off there. I think if you do it perfectly, it really is a 50-50. I think in this case, the way the pathing kind of worked out, it was more like a 60-40. But Kaylee is 2 for 2 here on shots that he could not have been positive about.
All right, we are stepping into the next game, and I doubt we'll be seeing as much wildness from it. The thing, though, is so far the games have been very determined by Noob. Noob read Kaylee on Library. Noob forced Kaylee into taking an uncomfortable shot on Library. Noob did force, in a way, Kaylee to read what Noob was doing. Now, Kaylee's pretty comfortable at playing other people's mind games because of his solid play, so I don't know if that's going to be too bad. But right now, this is the kind of set that Noob wants to be in.
Yes. No, Noob is doing what he wanted to do. The thing is, you're just going to force Kaylee to try to win a bunch of coin flips. Who can do that, right? Maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. And I wouldn't read too much into that low light, by the way. Noob could be tracking something very granular here.
That is very true. I don't know if there's too much of a read on on opponents for
Banana
not
bread.
grabbing the and a fake. All right, well Kaylee's actually trying to do a little bit himself.
Yep, 4 people could have reeled, and they've all been appropriately high lit. And this is actually this is a very dangerous game for Noob. I think Noob Sniper is going to be pretty good against Kaylee in pretty much all of these, but Pub is just, it can be a little random. It can be, would the spy finish first, right? Would they do the inspect and then finish or not? That's kind of like, again, that's another kind of coin flippy decision, which means that even if Noobs has a really good read on Kaylee's spy, and I think he does, he still could lose a game like this.
And the other thing you're talking about is right now we can just hang out and see if the party does anything for us because we have an inspect done, we have seduction pretty much done, and we can just reel near the end. We have an easy path to finishing in case someone else doesn't get shot by the end, but someone could just get shot.
Yeah, they could, although so far you see no other statue visitors, and he's got a really good read on who could have done the real BB. So Kaylee's still going to need a little bit of help here. I think that low light, if it even is a meaningful low light, might not matter too much if he doesn't finish. But Kaylee does usually finish.
So at first there was a bit of bad luck there in DA leaving the conversation because I think that Kaylee might have tried to sprinkle in. Oh, and there's a shot.
Oh,
There it is.
there it is. Yeah, that's the problem. Could be done. That's all it is. It's would they try to finish, yes or no? And Noob, playing a little bit too much into the behavioralism. The behavioralism thing, it works better with Kaylee on a standard kind of venue setup, but on a setup like 3-5 on any venue 3-5 variant, Kaylee is going to play behaviorally because he has no choice. There's
Right.
no point in him just aggroing spy on pub. That doesn't make sense. So Kaylee will idle, will fake, will do all those things because it's a 3-5 variant, because he has to do it anyway. So the behavioral lowlights are not nearly as strong as they are in something like Library, where Kaylee's generally not going to waste a lot of time.
All right, and now speaking of behavioral play, we're going to be stepping into Taein, and I'm very curious what I am sure that there's a planned strat on Noob's part on this map. I mean, maybe it's going to be a little bit loose to whatever the Soji setup is, but I'm guessing that he's thought about this map in particular because I think that he thinks this is his big chance to break serve.
Yeah, it's one of the swingiest, yeah. I think he would have been okay with a tie on a lot of these other ones. But now he's down 3-1, and now he kind of needs it to swing a little bit. I think his game plan has been really, really strong. It just hasn't quite worked out.
All right. Well, and also the other thing is we right now. So far we've played library, we've played pub, and now we're about to play Taein. If Noob doesn't come away with a lead in these maps, I think he's in a lot of trouble. He has to at least tie because we're going to be heading into maps that are much more comfortable for Kaylee.
They are, but I think there's actually a really good chance that Noob's only going to need the one spy win still to force overtime. Because I think, again, his sniper is just really good. He's been all over Kaylee except for the kind of random variance of a pub, right?
Right.
I think he needs to play a little more straight there on pub and not take any really behavioral lowlights against Kaylee there. But on the other venues, I would not be surprised if Noob ran the table on sniper.
We've also had aggressive spy play out of both our players so far. The shots have come off relatively early in each match. There has been a shot has been taken every single game, and
Yeah.
with I don't know if there's been less than a minute left on any of those shots. They've all come pretty early, so both spies
Banana
played
bread.
aggressively.
The library one, yeah. Interesting timing on the banana bread because Slim is at center statues and Kaylee is pretty much just said, Taeyan's so chaotic, I'll shoot who could be done, assume a bug. And Noob knocks him out there. I think he might have been trying to cover for a bug attempt that did not take.
Yeah, Smallman was on the far side of the conversation, and he kept trying to go after him, and unfortunately, when he left, he didn't come our way. So we have not bugged yet, but I mean, there's going to be other bug opportunities, so it's not the end of the world. But we are only one mission in, and so our completion path is narrowing.
The missing the bug is not the problem. The problem is knocking out a center statue visitor when you know specifically Kaylee is going to have to maybe shoot for something like that. He's going to have to credit a bug at some point, and you could have two people, Wheels and Slim, as possible finishers right now. Instead, you just have one, and you don't have the bug.
All right, we haven't moved in a while. It looks like we're just going to try to get some seduction done. We're going to be kind of far. Oh, are we not even going to try to seduce from this lane?
No, he's not trying to finish at this point. I mean, look at the timing, right? It's just not going to line up. You'd have to rush something. He's going to try to get some one shot, which is why the banana bread's a little confusing to me. He might be going all in on that other highlight general.
All right, well, we are waiting to see where people end up. And yeah, we are possibly all in on it. I wonder if we're even going to try to do a timeout or if we're just going to accept our fate near the end of the game.
I think he's probably going to lean into it. He's going to assume that Kaylee's going to have a hard time not shooting at the end, but General needs to do a little something. He's got to at least talk. Maybe take a path around the Amba. That's what you're hoping for right here.
Well, we're getting close to the end of the time, and so General could have had statues. I'm assuming banana bread, but what would the other two be? I guess seduce. He's got to assume
Yeah.
by this point.
You credit
All right,
seduce and you credit bug. That's the logic, right? Is that you have to credit both those things. Is he going to do red flirt general into something?
he's trying to, but General's
General's.
picking up a fingerprint right now.
I don't think that's going to be enough. I think Kaylee has so few people who could be done that I don't know if he's going to be able to induce a shot here.
Yeah,
General's not cooperating.
Yeah,
not
he's
cooperating.
not. But if we were only at a window, we might be able to fake a time ad. Like he's ready to shoot in case something happens. But
yeah. I mean, he was right. He had a good frame target for the most part. He just didn't do enough at the end. Oh my goodness.
all right, well that was the strategy though, and it almost worked. But I think Kaylee was uncomfortable, or sorry, comfortable enough not taking the shot. Really did have the suspect that Noob had in mind, but just didn't quite push it far enough.
These are brutal. These feel like really, really close games where these shenanigans, sort of these frames, these mission win completes, whatever, they're so close to working, and that little extra 5% has just not quite been there. Sometimes to Kaylee's credit, sometimes to the party's credit, but in all cases, it has failed.
All right, well now Noob really needs to take this Tayan, which is going to be difficult for a sniper in this position. But he really needs this.
Yeah.
He needs to start picking up the coin flips basically from here on out, and definitely picking up the guaranteed maps.
Yeah, he can't afford anything else as sniper, and he still needs to find a spy win. That's still very plausible. He's still very much in this if he can win here, and there's a failed bug attempt immediately.
Yeah, I was wondering, the laser was hovering pretty closely to him. I wasn't sure if it was going to be an instant shot, but it looks like it was not seen, and so we will not be immediately dying. We are going to pick up our 51% on the flirt, and then I'm curious if Kaylee's going to try to return on the trying to get someone else shot, or if he's just going to go aggro like he's been playing most of the day.
Well, on Tayan, you can go either way. There's a lot of cover for aggro, but you can also afford to go aggro at the very end. Oh, wow. Oh, he must have just mismemorized statues. Maybe thought he saw a 3 cycle. Wow, that's brutal. Now we're in big trouble.
Yeah. Okay. So we are at 5-1, and it's interesting because if I saw 5-1 as the score coming into this match, I would have thought that it would have been just Kaylee just destroying Noob. But actually, these games have been close. Noob has been prepping well, but unfortunately, so that game was probably just a thrown away game. Unfortunately, probably mismemorized.
That's the first really bad loss. I think all the other losses are sort of tough luck losses. That one, I don't know if it's just getting desperate or thinking he has too much of a read on Kaylee's playstyle. I will say that there's a logic to it. We have seen on so many of these casts that when Kaylee gets a lead, he likes to press his advantage with aggression on spy. He'll lean into it by going a Smallman, for example, and just, I mean, that's a thing he's done, right? Probably more than random would indicate. So I think he might have just been kind of leaning into that a little bit, assuming that Kaylee's going to try to just press his advantage and finish aggressively. But it's Tayan. I think you gotta have the humility there to say this is Tan's crazy. I'm gonna wait. Whatever it is, that's the first game I feel that was given away.
All right, well, we are going to step into Terrace, and it looks like we're going to be knocking statues out of the 3 of 5 variant. And obviously, we just have to start picking up games. And, unfortunately, that might have been the kind of shot that Noob felt like he had to take, a risky sort of shot, but it was very early in the game. And so I'm hoping that it's more calculated risk and less getting impatient.
Right, yeah. I mean, we didn't even have a BB yet, so even if he's rushing, Smallman's not done. Now this is the last really swingy map that's left. So let's be honest here. Not to take away any potential drama later, Noob probably needs both these games.
Right. Well, that adds to the drama right now because that makes this very interesting how we're going to approach this. I'm guessing that Noob was hoping for either obviously a lead or about a tie at this point, and then might have some particular saved up strats for the late maps. Because one of the things that you can give, like the non-swiggy maps, is if you have a particular strategy that you go all in on one of the maps, you only need it to work once as spy, that sort of thing. Right.
Yes.
You might have something saved up for those because people kind of would assume that those would be the difficult to choose maps. Right. I mean, Kaylee's already in a mindset on the other maps here we go with the bug, and this is
think you saw it.
basically. Ooh,
Oh, the quick leave, the instant
I think it
leave
was for
from the
briefcase.
window.
He was faking briefcase. That Twin was going for.
The big moment is going to be the next time he talks. If Kaylee thought he saw the bug, he's probably going to wait for one more talk,
Well, so
at
right now,
least.
I'm hoping he's just not going to talk in this conversation at all because Kaylee's probably anticipating a flirt. Ooh, but Queen leaves, unfortunately.
So what's the plan going to be? You still have enough time to two-flirt here.
All right, well, we're just going to do an innocent watch check.
It would be brutal to get away with the bug and not finish flirt. That'd be really rough. He's going to need a green in one of these.
Yeah, that's it.
It was the next
So,
talk, yeah.
yeah.
So he's about 95% on the bug, but at that point, it's so early that he's convinced he can't possibly be done with flirt. Next talk gets a shot, and there it is. It's nothing fancy there. And now Noob needs to run the table to force tie.
All right, well, we are at. Man, it really does not feel like 6-1, but 6-1 Crazy Kaylee's favor. And Kaylee's going to be pretty comfortable in this position of just waiting out. Well, first we gotta play our terrace game. I'm kind of like this could go the other way as well, but I'm thinking that Kaylee's really thinking and being comfortable about the sniper games coming up on the other maps.
Yeah, they're two of his better maps in Season 4, Ballroom and Veranda. So this is particularly hard across the board. I think, we saw Noob take his shot in those first few games where he put Kaylee into the position where he had to take uncertain shots 2 to 3 times, and he did, and he got him right. If he misses one of them, it's a different set.
It
So
took us
obviously, yeah, you're going all in on that, but again, compared to what? Compared to an 80-something% sniper win rate across SCL history, you'll
Right.
take that. Those are good odds. Those are good odds against any sniper. They're particularly good odds against the best sniper. So I think Noob made the right decisions. It just didn't quite work out.
Yeah, it also took us a long time to settle into the conversation at the beginning of this game. All right, well, that's the bug. There's the shot. That's the end of that.
Yeah, Kaylee just again, he's not gonna take his foot off the gas very often. He's definitely not gonna with a 6-1 lead.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. The angling was a little bit. It's like, I guess maybe if Noob was zoomed out a bit more, looking at something else, just wasn't as much going on really. But anyways,
No.
I mean, Noob picks up a game.
Yeah, well, look, the thing about reverse drive-bys is that you don't have time to actually consider them properly for the most part. Sometimes you see them coming, but sometimes they just happen, and you have to decide in a quarter second if you want to do them. And maybe you would have thought better if you had, half a second instead, but you don't.
Okay, well, I mean, that's the kind of thing we need to pick up as Noob. And then the thing that's really gonna bum me out is I really would have wanted to see what Noob strategies would have been on these other maps. So I'm hoping that Noob just starts running the table so that I can even just see the ways in which he thinks that he can take down Kaylee.
I mean, I think a strategy was to split a lot of these better maps. He's got a good read on Kaylee's spy, and he's okay to split those and take the coin flips, and then he just has to win one coin flip out of 2 or 3, but he didn't. And then took an aggressive shot on Taeyan. I really think that's it. I think that's the right game plan, and I think it can work, but sometimes it doesn't.
Well, in this headspace, if you were the thing is, there's a bit of a conflicting view that you could develop as spy or as a player in this position of whether or not you just start taking risks. Because in most games, the way in which you make comebacks is you have to start taking big risks, big calculated risk, but big risks. But really, in SpyParty, you can't just take risks that extend beyond any one game. And so sometimes the better thing to do is just play really solid the rest of the games, right? Just play solid, normal play and try to draw your opponent into thinking that you're going to be too aggressive.
Right. Well, so Kaylee played Ballroom as sniper, 7 times last season and won all of them as sniper. He did not lose a Ballroom sniper game last year. Noob, on the other hand, banned Ballroom 8 times in 10 weeks. He only played 4 Ballroom games all year. So this is a venue on which Kaylee has had a lot of success and one in which Noob has hardly played.
All right, well, we've tossed out a couple banana breads so far. There's quite a few lowlights now. I don't know what we're going to be trying to do. I think we're just going to be tossing out those banana breads and then hoping that someone does something, but I don't know if we're going to be going for a frame on a specific person or just throwing out enough information to have something get done.
I think if he sees a really good bug or fingerprint opportunity, he's going to take it. But other than that, I think he's just going to lean in and try to hit a green purloin and force another one of those 50s.
We are getting so much screen shaking from Noob. I at first thought that the seduction attempts on Alice, the red ones, were intentional, but it looks like they were not. And right before the green landed on Alice at the bookcase, she left, and so we have no seduction progress.
Yeah, and that's a big difference at this point in the game, right? He's still got a pretty good chance of finishing missions without anything crazy. If he hits that flirt without it suddenly with a slow character, he's at 90 seconds and he's just getting one, and it's not even a green. He has to aggressively bail. He's going to have to very rudely flirt here and hope Kaylee doesn't notice. But when Kaylee's narrowed the party down with those banana breads, look at this. He actually can notice aggressive flirting at this
Banana
stage in the
bread.
game.
Was that a? I'm trying to figure out if that was a real banana bread. That was an intentional banana bread, I guess you should say.
Reverse drive-by, by the way. Kaylee zooms in right after. He hasn't shot after the talk. I don't know if he saw it. I don't know if he saw it, but here's a big moment of truth right here.
Well, I mean, we'd have to, depending on whether or not Kaylee's comfortable with shooting at this point, we could have been done with flirt at this point if it wasn't for the leave at bookcase.
Right. Ooh, red test on the first inspect. That is not good. You gotta get this done in 2 cycles.
Oh, he can't. But that does. Okay, so we're a little bit of a. We're in an interesting position where we're going to do a non-spy-like play of having to visit statues
Need a
twice.
green here too. He got the green. That's huge, though. He's gonna have to go back to statues. Can Kaylee shoot for this?
This is very interesting. I don't like. So why would the spy go back to statues twice?
No,
really, right?
I think this might actually work. I think the red test might actually work to his favor. But Kaylee might just be he might take another shot like he did on library and say, who else could it be, right?
All right. Well, I think that Kaylee might be anticipating a swap play. Is also
Right.
what is going on, right? So
You
he
wanna let
thinks
him
he
see it's
doesn't.
not a swap. I think this is gonna work. Oh my goodness!
Wow. So
Wow.
of all the ways in which Noob won the games, the ones where he's planned out in very particular and precise ways, Kaylee was just on it enough. But then we have a lot of frustration that led to Noob playing that game very unspy-like, doing things that the spy really doesn't want to do, and it ends up working out because it looks like at the end it's a desperation and spec swap. But he had already gotten that bug off during the fake banana bread.
Yeah, it was a little after the fake banana bread, and Kaylee was sort of zooming in and out, a little hard to see. She has a very subtle standing bug animation sometimes like that. I guess he just wasn't confident about it. And why take that shot now when he doesn't have to? He's still got a lot of margin. But right after Noob loses on all the venues that are clearly better for him, and then me saying Kaylee did not lose a ballroom sniper game in season 4, you just saw one.
That's the way you pick up games against Kaylee on Smyro or on Ballroom is get yourself that red inspect, don't flirt for a few minutes, and then charge her at the end and fake what it looks like a desperation swap play.
Yeah, I think he clearly would have been okay with the inspects anyway. I don't think Kaylee was going to shoot there if he just greened them all either. But I think it actually worked just fine anyway. It just seemed so weird and counterintuitive. Probably felt like Noob was trying to frame yet again.
That's true. I mean, the funny thing about SpyParty is it would be very easy, or not very easy. It would be not too difficult to play in such a way where you could, if you needed one particular game to swing your way, you could sort of condition the sniper to be taking shots and then all of a sudden reverse on them, right? But they would have had to have won
Right.
2 or 3 games and like successfully shot for it earlier.
I think Kaylee was about to get dumped at statues and took control and hard-tailed his way out of there. Sure looked like it.
All right, and yeah, and also I'm wondering if Kaylee has done any particular prep. I mean, we kind of assume Kaylee just focuses on his game and doesn't prep that much for the opponent, but on spy play, he might actually.
He does do replays, certainly. But I think the difference, the thing about prep is he doesn't maybe adjust the game plan as much as some other players would. Right? He's not as malleable in that regard.
Now,
There's a purloin.
Yeah, has this been seen? Because, all right, I see low lights come off on the far side of the party, so I guess it might have been seen. But it looks like Toby went and offered a drink right behind the corner of the party right after, so I don't actually know how late we're going to be on this purloin read.
I don't think Noob has a really good read on this. I think he's going to take some more aggressive lowlights now, though.
Well, we did go away for. We pick up a highlight, and that's a big sign because we are the only highlight in that chain, I think.
Yeah, very significant. Oh no, back down.
Go. Wait,
No.
back up. All right, we might just being played with at this point.
Yeah,
the fact that
let's
there's this
stop
much
reacting to
attention.
the lights.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
I mean,
we don't know what they're tracking anymore. But he's going to play more behaviorally now that he missed the purloin, and I feel pretty confident saying that he missed it in the sense of if you only have it narrowed down to 5 people and you don't have a top suspect, you quote unquote missed the purloin for these purposes.
Right, and we do. Maybe we got the low light for taking a drink. just in general. I know that Noob is the thing is like I don't really trust Noob on the drink stuff because it's well publicized, which means that it's something that he's going to be aware of in his sniper game. So I don't
Right.
know if the drink take low light is for real or not. And the
Yeah, you
fact
see
that this
these.
much attention has been paid to Frizzy hair at this point, it's pretty
Yeah,
suspicious.
and Slim is bumped back up from a low light. I mean, these lights, they don't mean what you think they mean.
Which makes it hard to cast. But right
It
now we
does.
are at we do still need to get missions done, regardless of whether or not Noob is onto us. We have to finish unless he thinks. Oh, and
Oh, and
there's
there's
a
the set.
shot.
Yeah, I mean, there it is, just not ready for the purloin, which is a little surprising because he knows Kaylee does that kind of thing. But there's your set. After all that, I think a little rough. Again, I want to stress, I think Noob had the right game plan and mostly did it the way he had to do. I think the frame on pub was a little rough, but I think the library game was perfect. And I think obviously a really strong ballroom game. I think he mostly did what he needed to.
I completely agree, and I'm glad that the score came back a little bit, where it wasn't gonna be something like 7-1 or something like that, because Noob actually showed that Kaylee was near breaking on it. If things had gone a very very slightly different way on some of the
Sure.
early maps and the momentum changed a little bit, uh, I
Hmm.
we think we could have seen upset. Like I don't think Noob is going to be too ashamed of this performance. For example, I don't think it was just like he got crushed and he felt like he was
No, no, no.
outclassed. You know,
No, certainly not. I think, I mean, like, you really just need to watch that library game. That's a game he could have won. And then when Ballroom, a game he did win. So if he doesn't shoot, Smallman on Tayen, then we've got ourselves, possibly an overtime game. That's the margin on these games. They're so close. You flip one outcome and it's a huge difference. So, I it's still pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy, but I think Noob has been saying that, this is the kind of stuff you have to lean into against a really exceptional sniper. You have to be okay with being a top suspect. You just need to win some of these close games, force them into those difficult shots, and they're not always going to get them. And when they do, they do. And you just say, well, that's the way it goes. You have to play your best possible odds.
completely agree. And I think that we can all thank Noob for all of us by giving us good research into how to beat Kaylee when we need to. And I think that like no matter what, I think that we've seen some useful information because I think Kaylee was uncomfortable during that set until it started swinging in his favor. Obviously, then I think he
Right.
got a little bit more relaxed. But I
Of
don't think he
course.
was feeling good in the initial games.
Right. And Noob is talking a little bit, by the way, about how Smallman did one of those animation twitches on statues on Tayen. Now, of course, that will happen. That you see that with Orange Sari and Smallman in particular. There's a little bit of a bug with an animation hitch during the statues. Still couldn't be done. Probably still doesn't need to prompt a shot because Noob knows very well that those animation issues occur, but that was pretty rough still. And they shot maybe just a little too aggressive. And at that point, he was already really far behind. So any caution in the game plan might have had to been thrown to the wind anyway.
Okay, well, I think that just about does it for the first match of Crazy Kaylee versus Pwned Noob, unless we have
Hmm.
anything more to move on to. But I
No,
think that
I
was
think we're ready.
it was actually a very entertaining set. And sometimes you don't like Kaylee. Sometimes talks about how he self-deprecates himself by saying that he's not entertaining to watch, and we all disagree with him because I mean, even regardless of his play, which I think is very interesting and very interesting to consider and watch, how people respond to him is fascinating, and I think that Noob's approach was tremendous, and I can't wait for other people to get a hold of some of these ideas because I think that communally we have a responsibility to defeat Kaylee, and so
Yeah.
Noob
Well, I mean,
contributed in that regard.
I certainly agree that this kind of gives you don't want to say blueprint because it's never like that, right? There's still a lot of execution, there's a lot of party luck, there's a lot of stuff going into it, right? But yes, against an overwhelming sniper, you need to be comfortable with some of these kinds of high risk plays. They give you better odds. They might not give you a majority of the odds, right? Above 50% chance of victory. They give you a plurality. Your odds of winning a spy game go from 20% to maybe 30 or 35%, right? And you do that two or three times and you get a beat on his spy. You managed to catch him for those aggressive early purloins, those time of chaos bugs, all that stuff we saw that was happening in the first 5 seconds of each game. The book cheese, the missed bug, the purloin, the redirected statues on ballroom, all that stuff. If you're on top of that stuff and you force some difficult shots on the other end, you can win a close set. It's hard to do, but it's possible.
All right. Well, we are gonna step into Aberar versus Ryu. Hey,
Rio.
we have Rio. Okay, we have
It's
gotten.
Rio as in Rio de Janeiro.
All right. Well, we are stepping into. How do you like to cast a bear rar? Do you say rar a bear? Bear?
That is dealer's choice. I just tend to say a bear. Some people actually do the roar. I did it once, and that's all I ever need to do it. He likes the roar. I know that.
All right. Well, I don't know if there's anything we want to really get into before this match. We might as well just get started. But I kind of wanted. I wanted to see a bracket without. Oh wait, do we have a bracket that does not spoil it? I can look at. There we go.
Yeah.
There it is.
Yes,
You
we
you
do.
put that in
Yep.
there and said that it might be useful. So
Yeah, there it is. This is the bracket heading into the quarterfinals.
okay, so Ryu came from a big upset in a lot of players' minds over beating Yeesh in the
Hmm.
round of 16. And Eberrar, I'm going to have trouble with this the whole time.
Just
Bear,
say it. The trick is to say it differently every single time. That's you run out after three or four, but if you can keep it going, that'd be good.
um, Bear came with a pretty standard, decisive victory over Iggy in the round of 16. So right now, if momentum exists, Rio had a bit of a more interesting last set against probably what would have been a stronger opponent, and a lot more confidence coming into this. Where I think that Bear was a heavy favorite against their opponent. And so
Yes.
I'm very
Same.
curious in how right now. Well, although I think actually Rio might be a bit of a Kingslayer in general. I think that they've beaten really experienced opponents, and then sometimes they'll drop sets versus opponents that they are favored against. But I think that they've actually taken down a few, if unless I'm misremembering, because I know that the Teian Rio did pretty well, and then I think also perhaps in the Summer Cup. I could be
Yeah.
misremembering this.
Yeah, I don't remember offhand, but yeah, I would say it's fair to say that Rio has very variable play levels. You see some very high level play sometimes, but it's not quite as consistent as it could be, which is a very common thing for someone with a few thousand games. A Bearar, on the other hand, has played a lot of games and has held their own against some very good players, but has hardly played any competitive games.
All right, well, let me get the names set up, and then we'll be good to go.
Yep, ready when you are. We're going to start off on Veranda with Rio on the Spy. And it looks like Rio is going to be Blondo or Duke, if you'd rather.
All right, I think we are good to go. We are starting on library with Ryu.
I have it the other way. Are they ordered by date?
Are we not? Oh, sorry. I see the books and I think library. I'm on veranda. There's a
Okay,
library
good.
on this map, damn it, and it's in
Yeah, there
multiple
is.
spots.
Yes, a
Yeah.
personal library.
But yeah, thank you for confirming. Oh, there's I put two B's in a bear. Just a second.
That's okay.
Okay, we are ready to go, and I'll be starting in three, two, one, play. All right. Well, we are starting. I have a drink in hand, so we can't really bug on the left side of our body, which we are kind of following Amba like we want to bug. We dodged the bug attempt because Amba's not really standing still for a while. Amba's bouncing around a lot right now, and I think that Bear is really focusing and making sure there's no time of chaos bug coming off.
Yeah, I think Rio is just following a seduction target since that's the standard opener on most of particularly these bigger venues, right? You want to find the ST, get that first flirt in, even if it's a white like this one is. You just get started. The question is, with this cover from the conversation, do you want to combine it with microfilm or something like that?
All right, well, Seduction Target comes back, but I don't think that Seduction Target went far enough away to reset the timer, unfortunately. It would have been kind of great if they walked really far away and then right back, and we were able to get two Seductions in on the same bookcase. But unfortunately, no. The party's kind of dissipating on this side, and I'm just going to kind of. So, right now, on Veranda, there's a lot of really interesting flow between the sides of the map because there's like a. what's the word I'm looking for? There's a threshold after which like a conversation circle never really dies. If you get like 5 people in there, that conversation circle is going to stick there probably the entire game. But right now, the conversation circles that have the necessary mass are all going to be on the right side, and that sort of determines the dynamic play of how you can approach a veranda game. And so
Yeah,
there's not going to be much cover on the left side of the map.
right. It basically rules out book cheese, and some of the more powerful purloins are on that far left side. These two conversations out front are probably the weakest for it. The far right one's not bad too. You're right, though. You do have to adjust with that. And Rio, kind of interesting here, not really chasing the ST around, idling quite a bit.
Yeah, so whenever I'm playing as a spy on veranda, I'm always hoping that the front two conversation circles are the ones that don't get that necessary mass, and we're starting to see it develop. I feel like a weatherman, where we're starting to see the conversations develop on the left side of the map. But
Yeah.
what we really want is that front conversation on the left side of the map to develop the conversation that never goes away, and then the one covering blue bookcase, both of them really on the far right side of the map.
Yeah, unfortunately, when it comes to predicting what the players are going to do, we have about the same accuracy rate as most weathermen.
I wonder if that's something that's actually really gone away. Where I wonder if we still get to complain about weathermen. That's the thing, though, is even with all the technology we have, I don't actually know if we've really gotten better, that much better at forecasting or not.
It's a lot of variables in a dynamic system that describes the weather, and it describes SpyParty too.
But really, even if there's like that sort of dynamic weather system, you want to be the climate change in the system. You want to be pushing the weather in a certain direction towards victory, which is what
Yep.
we're doing.
Now, Rio has finished the inspects. He's gone to the front right statue and the back left. A bear, I think for the most part, just likes to sort of memorize these sort of things. Some people will highlight for any statue visit. That's pretty common. Certain players like Opie will highlight for people who could have completed inspects, and so they'll offload some of it onto their memory. In this case, a bear not highlighting for either. There's a white time ad there, by the way, but a bear has shown no reaction to it yet.
Yeah, and a white time at on like so. This is probably like one of those details that I overly fixate on, but I've always found Veranda to be one of the easiest maps to catch time out because the clock centers over a very gray and dark part of the screen, almost always the way that you're rotating around. And so noticing the color change in a late time ad when it goes from a sort of an orange directly to more of a green, I always find it just intuitively easier to catch. But that might be one of the things that really when I'm playing, I would only notice.
Yeah, so Rio goes to statues a third time to finish that flirt. It's a green test, which does help. And the third visit probably helps a little bit too, because again, why would you do that other than to flirt? And if he pairs him for the possible flirt, it doesn't matter because it's done. But he's only got 40 some seconds left and only 2 missions done. He's got to get moving. Even with that time ad, he's running low on time.
Well, we get the bug off, and it doesn't seem to be getting an instant shot. Unfortunately, DA left
No.
before we came into this conversation circle, so we're not gonna be able to do the contact right now.
Yeah.
Really, getting 2 missions done quickly is gonna be rough. DA needs to come in here. We need to do something like a swap.
Yeah, it's not gonna. I don't think it's gonna work. You need another time ad, and it's almost too late for that. The pillar was mostly covering the bug too. That and Walt. It was a very strong bug. This has all the makings
have
of a
a
great
purloin.
spy win, but you need to BB too.
Banana bread.
All right, here we go. It's gonna be a white
It's
Perlin
white.
right at the end.
It's gonna be overtime though, and that's gonna be death because he just saw a drink take. 6 seconds of overtime. He's lining up the shot.
He's got to just shoot someone, and it
Oh
is
wow!
not the correct person. We luck out a little bit, I should say more than a little bit, on double agent coming over to us, so we don't have to do something like a purloin swap. But wow, we got bailed out a little, Bear.
That was a high wire act, wasting that much time, but it pays off because when the party does kind of come to him a little bit at the end, although you're really just waiting for one person to get in the conversation, it's not too crazy. But on Veranda with a lot of options, it's a little worse than usual. High wire act sneaks it in under the wire there, and you avoiding that highlight for those statues, not seeming like much of a suspect most of the game. It just means that the default shot in OT isn't you. 1-0.
1-0 Rio, and I liked that. That felt very much like the kind of things that spies have to do. Is a high wire act where there's another wire they have to duck, and there's just wires all over the place. It's like Mission Impossible with the wires, but you're also standing on a wire. And we're gonna start the next game in 3, 2, 1, go.
And a bear has seen nothing but success so far. I lost to a bear in group stages. A bear is 4-0 coming into this and has not had to play super marginal matches at any point. So right away, losing a sniper game, falling behind 0-1, already not a position a bear's used to. Again, having not played much competitively before this either.
Right, and so sometimes we get a little concerned if there's been too many matches in a row where there's been comfortable wins by a player, because then maybe they haven't had to get used to being used to being behind and like maintaining composure. Where if they we'll see if they really get tested in this match. We have an early green time ad. We path a little bit oddly, but it's not going to get caught. And so we are that to me indicates something more like a slow play frame, unless we're pretty sure that it gets caught, and then we can do some weird Yomi stuff. But great for this map because there's so much spread out on this map. It's valuable. It's sort of like a low-key modern in that sense.
Yep, and it's going to be a fake. The real one does not come off. Irish, let's see here.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So we might have gotten a low light for a fake banana bread bail, because who BB fake BB bails, right? Which
Right.
honestly should be the same amount of the same percentage, but that is something that spies don't really like to do that much, is do the fake BB bail.
No, you don't see it very often. An aggressive low light from, and oh boy, misses the pad. Boy, sure would have been nice to be able to see that with a non-low lit person. Could have swung the game right there.
Yeah, no kidding. I would have assumed that it was an instant shot because it's in a spot where you can't not see it as sniper. That is one of the worst spots to do sort of a stop. If it would have been in the back of the conversation circles, you had to be paying attention to them. You're not going to be anticipating them to do a stop. But we luck out there. But the thing is, when a bear went over to red bookcase, the laser swung over to them. I don't know if they think that they're highlight or not. They might think they're a huge suspect.
Right. Yeah, we're not necessarily going to see a lot of spy aggression. The bear doesn't have a strong reason to think they're low lit. They might have been banking on it. Their research might have shown, a lot of assume reels, but I don't think so. It's not something you can be confident about. And yeah, that particular spot, that window on the far left of veranda, because of where the sniper usually sits, they get a nice, even, straight-on look at it, so that if you don't hit that pad at the straight angle, it's more noticeable than pads you would miss in other places where you still have the option to keep it cool.
All right, well, we are going to be burning a lot of time, and I think that that's because we think we're a top suspect. We did have the time ad, so I think we have time to waste, which is very true. We also might be noticing that laser's really focusing in near us, but right now it's because it's watching Seek, because we're worried about an action test microfilm going off on Seek, because we are ourselves blocking it. And we step in.
We've already wasted more than that time ad. I think if a bear's going to win this, it's actually probably going to be with a missed shot. I think Ryu is looking pretty darn closely at the people who are remaining, and if they do much of anything, they're probably going to get a bullet.
Well, we're going to be offered a drink pretty soon here, and I wonder if we're just going to take that chance and hope for a green, and then that might be the big prompt of the shot we need.
It might be the single worst spot on veranda for a Purloin. So he's not going to take it. Those front conversations are pretty darn perilous, unless it's so counterintuitive that they won't look for it. But that's a pretty risky bet.
Especially when Ambassador is in a pretty easily guardable spot that we are comfortable with looking at Purloin and tracking it as hard as we want to.
I mean, a bear is, by chasing here to books to get the flirt in, is giving every indication of trying to finish missions. Flirts before the book take. Very interesting.
All right, well, we are taking it out, which to me means that we really need to be dumping this in the other bookcase. I don't think we have time to really dilly-dally and put this back into the same spot.
BB, bail, dump, and try to get another fingerprint. A bear's going to try to finish here, I think. And if they can force an overtime, it's going to work. The question is, can they even do that much?
Unfortunately, we're
knocks out Seek.
Yeah, I was going to say, we are knocking out some important characters, including Smallman. We do still have a few highlights in on the right side of the party, where I don't think we're going to get caught for this, obviously. He doesn't know that he's low lit, although he's just going to be doing a cheese dump right there, and we're going to be doing an inspect finish. Or we'll be doing inspecting fingerprints.
This is the first mission, the first inspect visit. So he's not going to be able to finish here with 30 seconds left. By the way, I'm pretty sure Pearls was out during that banana bread doing a briefcase, but is still high lit. Did not get the low light here, and she's very busy. She walks into a conversation and instant talks.
All right, well, can we get this done? We're going to be doing this down immediately and trying to go to another set of statues. We can't go back to those statues. We can't go back to those statues.
You have to time add or swap.
All right, well, we're time adding.
It's a white.
Well, we're going to be going back to these statues. That means we have to visit statues a third time.
No, just going to swap, I think, right?
Oh, maybe. That's very possible. And actually, it would work right now. But we are going to be taking the risk-averse version of this. But the thing is,
Jeez.
honestly, at this point, we might as well assume that we're low lit because we've been doing so much on the left side of the
You
map. And
have to
like,
guess it. Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, how could you? You must suspect it at this point. What I really don't understand is with the beeps going, with fewer than 10 seconds left, the beeps stop. You know for a fact there's been a white time ad. How do you not get a few more lowlights, at least in the center of the party from that?
Well, I think that Rio is reading too strongly into their lowlights being accurate, and we're just gonna wait. What? What?
Why? Why do 6 missions? What is going on? Sees the swap too late. I don't understand that game at all. Okay.
All right. Well, uh,
Okay.
interesting.
Uh,
Interesting.
don't try that at home, kids. That's not advised.
So I'm wondering if we were just thinking that we had another inspect to go, and we were just spamming because we were like, we need to get these swaps done, or I mean, possibly it was intentional. I would just be pretty surprised. I mean, and regardless, a bear evens it up.
In the most unconventional of ways. I'm sort of amazed that Rio didn't get more lowlights there at the very end. I think they should. I understand why they didn't shoot. I kind of even understand the lowlight. That all makes sense. I'm impressed they held their shot. But when that time ad ticked up, we should have seen 3 to 4 more big lowlights. And frankly, at that point, you should specifically start looking at your lowlights again if you don't have any good time ad suspects. That was the moment the game was actually lost. It's not the lowlight because a bear had to run all over the place and needed 2 time ads to get it in under the wire. The moment the game was lost was in the reaction to that second time ad.
That sounds right. All right, and not getting a last second shot for the swap, but at that point it was a low light with the statue, so
Yeah.
we weren't too concerned with it. Okay, well, interesting interesting start to this match already. I'm kind of excited to see where this goes, and we are going to be starting on Ballroom with Ryu as Irish in 3, 2, 1, play it.
That's a pretty rough loss. Ryu so darn close to going up 2-0, and in a set of this length where 7 wins it and 6 forces overtime, that is a huge advantage.
Okay, so we are going to be starting just with a flirt, 50%, 1% off perfection, but it won't be too bad. And a double
You'll
agent
take
joins
it.
us.
It's not a great time. It's an okay time.
Yeah, but like, and then again, like, really, you don't need it this early, because there'll be other opportunities on Ballroom. If you felt like you really needed to get it done, you could, but probably not going to take it.
Well,
We're
there
going
can
to
be an
time.
advantage to it.
I'm wondering if we're actually going to stick in here long enough for a timer flirt. Usually on Ballroom, people space out their flirts a lot. They're not as concerned about getting them because it's such a great pacing tool on Ballroom. You're almost always able to find them somewhere. It's a large map, but it's compact still. So you're able to jump around and get your seductions early.
I find it tempting when I green the first flirt to try to get a timer flirt and get it done boom boom in the first minute or so. I think that can be really powerful. I think it's more likely that way. If it has to be a white, if it's a white, then you know you're going to take a couple more anyway, so why not go and do something in the interim?
All right, well, seduction target's gonna be on the far side. Double agent leaves this conversation circle, so we're probably just gonna be doing nothing here. We're burning a bit of time. Not the end of the world, but I think we start needing to figuring out what we want to do here. Maybe a fingerprint.
I mean, spies are struggling to complete on both sides right now, and it's you can get away with it a little more on Ballroom. That's a very strange path.
Yeah. And our seduction target snatches it away from us at the last second. Not in a way, unfortunately, that'll get us a low light, but well, I mean, we really, I don't know what. Honestly, I'm like a time at this point. Just like accepting the fact that we'd have to rush unless we time added. I might have liked to see a time at an unintuitive spot in the game because spies don't like adding time unless they really need to. They tend to either rush it right at the beginning or near the end, but I think we needed to accept the fact that we need more time.
Yeah, if you can look ahead in the game and see that your pace is a little off and time add with, say something close to 2 minutes left, that can be very powerful and a lot easier to get away with, certainly.
Pretty good banana bread. I think the only person that got knocked out by the banana bread was our seduction target. So waiting on the banana bread did work out for us. But we still need to get so much done. It looks like we are focusing on where our seduction target is. We should already be moving towards him if we want to flirt.
Well, there was a seduction attempt while you were saying that. It just got canceled as the ST leaves again. ST all over the place, which would normally be interesting from a frame perspective if they were not also low lit from the BB. Ryu, though, looks like they've been nailed for the purloin.
Yep. So we did request drink over at that window, so we were committing to it at that point. If it had been a green, it would have been pretty strong because it probably bounced around. We would on the other far side of the conversation circle or far side of the map trying to get a flirt in, maybe an inspect. But unfortunately, it does not work out for us.
Yeah,
A
and
bear's all over it.
when you call over at windows like that too, sometimes the redirect is much more obvious. They sort of make a beeline for you. The more time Toby has to spend changing direction to go get you, the more time you give them to see that a possible reject is coming. In this case, maybe it would have worked with a green, maybe not, but I think that was probably close to doomed from the start.
All right, we'll hop into the next game with a bear, starting as who is he? Twin, what twin? Bling twin. All right, starting in 3, 2, 1, go. Also, this map has like, after playing a lot of sets of Modern, this map feels like it has no time, and it like burns away really quickly because while it is a compact map, it also is a 3-minute 30-second map. It only has 4 missions compared to some of the larger maps, but man, if you don't get some of those done early, you're put into awkward positions.
Yeah, there's a lot of mission density. A bear, by the way, being just zooming all over the place. I think broke animation to tip, left the conversation early, and took the book out very quickly too. Being very aggressive here in the early ballroom movement. Maybe has something to do with those early statue visitors and early movement in general. But look at all this. He's basically daring Rio to catch him.
That's right, and like you mentioned, statue visitors early on ballroom takes a lot of cognitive load because every once in a while you'll have the ploy of an early swap on ballroom into just getting a couple missions done, even if it's like a green that doesn't come off for a while. Ballroom only having the 4 missions, you can get stuff done.
Yeah, now what's interesting about that is the threat of the white swap takes up far more attention than you think it would, given how rarely it's actually employed.
Right. Just one of those things that you feel like you need to do as sniper, and it's really uncomfortable to memorize without absolute certainty. I kind of hate it because even if I get to a statue late and I don't see if someone has done anything, I know that most of the time it's not going to be swapped, but I'm going to be thinking about it in the back of my head the rest of the game.
Yep, and if they walk around a little bit, if they complete inspects, if they're in for a real banana bread, do you have to shoot? I lost a game for exactly that reason to Kaylee, actually, on Courtyard last year. I remember Walt Disney was at statues at the very beginning of the game. I had to stare at Amba too long, and by the time I got there, it was too late, and I had to credit them for a potential white swap all game, and it cost me the game.
All right, well, we are making decent progress with the flirt, not much else. We're really hoping that Smallman. So, by the way, Smallman DA and real DA, interestingly enough. So mind games wouldn't work on this one, but we're really hoping to go into a place, and we were watching them. Awkward path, but not gonna matter too much. But DA is not really cooperating, and that's the thing we seem to be trying to set up for. I'm also a little bit worried that a bear so far in the spy games is focused in on getting the components of the missions that they want to do and not sprinkling in enough of the things that they eventually need to do. They know that they're gonna seduce. They probably know they're gonna DA, but in the downtime they need to do other things, and they need to be just committing to that a little bit earlier because you're gonna get your seductions done. Right now we seem to be hanging out. I hope we're not timer flirting. We do not have enough time to timer flirt.
I don't quite follow the game plan here. I see the early activity. I see the zooming around, during the chaos. I totally get that. But why lead into this? Maybe it's one of those things where it's like, well, if this lines up well, I'll keep going. But the party stops cooperating and you switch into a slow play mode. In this case, it's a green purloin. And based on the position of the laser and the pillar and that full conversation, I'm not sure if that reject was seen. I don't think it was.
So
the fade is not visible. Toby moves, so the fade is not visible.
Now that said, we're at the center statues after a purloin. If we do know we're in the reject chain, we might have been forced to take a shot there. But no banana bread has gone off either, and
it's going to be OT if we finish.
So we're gonna have to flirt and then bail over immediately. We have to get over there and BB, go BB. We have to BB now. Oh, we're gonna bug instead.
1 second left. He forces it with a bug instead. He rushes the bug. Wow. Well, Ryu zoomed in while the bug was happening on the other twin. Zoomed in just as the bug was happening.
Yeah, unfortunately, what we were pretty sure there was gonna be a rush to finish at the end, but unfortunately, by zooming in too early, we missed what it would have been a really obvious bug attempt by focusing too much in on who we're gonna shoot at the end of the game. You don't need to zoom until you need to shoot instantly.
Yep, and here's the thing. That twin had talked at about 5 or 6 seconds, so that was the theory there, is that they finished their flirt. But here's the thing. That twin had a highlight for a statue visit. near the beginning of the game, side statue. Could not have been done with inspects. That is the danger of highlighting for statues, but not making a distinction between could have been done with statues and just visited them. I think if they knew for a fact that they were at side statues, probably don't take that shot.
All right. Well, right now where Ryu needs to pick up a couple of games here to even it out. It hasn't felt like it's been out of Ryu's control. So far, it's been mostly Ryu's sniper that's been slipping a little bit. A bear has been behind and been put in awkward positions in both the spy games so far. So
Yeah, I actually feel like Ryu has played a little better in aggregate. Yeah, even though they're down significantly already. Some of these games have just felt like they've turned on some very strange things. By the way, you've mentioned the past few weeks that you were surprised that there haven't been more twin shenanigans and confusion compared to what we thought was going to be the case when the characters were introduced. Is it possible that's what happened there?
it could be. I mean, we didn't. We did go to center statue after it, and like this, the ambient like memory, like the visual memory. That's what the twins really mess with. Where it's like I've seen you somewhere before, but we saw the back of twin at that statues before, and we couldn't really. If we're just relying on the ambient memory and not specifically
Right.
you were there, person A was there, the way that other people think. Like
Right.
I'm more visual, and so I will get that confused a little bit more often if I don't make the highlight distinction between them.
Yeah.
But
But
yeah.
I tell you what, there is something there at the end, and this is something I had to learn about myself too. I have been in the past uniquely vulnerable to last second obvious bugs or purloins or swaps because I will tunnel in a little bit too much on the person I am ready to shoot if it goes into overtime. And that's a perfect example of that. Even though your temptation is to watch very closely frame by frame on your suspects near the end of the game like that, most of the time, the smart move is specifically to zoom out and look at the whole party without even moving your camera very much so you can see a little bit of everything to catch the really obvious last second moves.
I completely agree. And we'll be stepping into a pretty normal game of Terrace, the classic statueless variety, and Ryu as general, starting in 3, 2, 1, go. So far on Terrace, I haven't seen as much Purloin shenanigans as I would expect. There's just a lot more flirt bug contact, and I'm wondering if that's ever gonna get mixed up. Every once in a while, I think. Well, I guess basically, I think Fingerprint's a little bit overrated on this map. That's the
A
easy way
little
for me to say
bit,
it.
but compared to inspects, it still feels like it gets done a little bit more often, especially when you factor in the difficult fingerprint possibilities. A lot more people could have theoretically completed 1.5 prints, as some people call it, right? A difficult print, you might credit it as half. So I still think it is more likely that someone completes fingerprints than inspects, particularly when you factor that in, and you have to give them credit for possibly hitting the green on that difficult.
I guess the interesting thing to me on Terrace is that there's usually, if there's like particularly weak missions, there's usually only a couple, but there's 3 missions that don't feel that difficult to cut if you needed to cut them. Where usually it's you don't
Yeah.
want to cut any, and then there's a couple maps where like cutting one mission is like, oh, well, here's the clear outlier. Now there's 3 that are not
Right.
totally clear. It's basically any 3 of 4, although not quite
Right.
as bad as that, but
Swap is the only obvious cut, and I would say, yeah, Terrace, there's a better argument for most of them other than Swap than any other venue except maybe Gallery. Gallery is one of the more interesting ones, too.
right. All right, well, we haven't really gotten anything done. We are going to be
We're
picking up
about
a
to.
Purloin opportunity.
I think the idea
And
here is the
fingerprint.
fingerprint. Yeah, I think the fingerprint's the main idea, and the delegate just in case.
Oh, but what a play it would be if we walked away without a drink, though. Big lowlights.
Big low lights. And Ryu's running low on time. Stop me if you've heard this one. Playing very slow here. Gets marked just for being a possible purloiner, I think. It'll be interesting to see if a bear does the same thing with these others. Wow, what a bar rush all of a sudden. Happy hour, I guess.
Right. Well, I mean, if we want to try to throw some noise in there, we can wait a little bit. The thing about the bar rush, though, is even if we send anybody, it's not going to be long enough.
I'm
the
sorry to
bug.
interrupt, Tobo style, but a bug. A bug has taken place. I don't know if you noticed entering the conversation there, and I'm not sure that was seen.
Well, what's interesting in the position we're in is we could seduce and contact and not get the second fingerprint. Which, like right now, not getting the second fingerprint would really reduce our chance of getting shot. Like, at this point, a bear is really going to be anticipating that second fingerprint. I would love to just resist that temptation. We don't have that much time, unfortunately, but double contacting.
Yeah, the problem is that
Banana bread.
40%. That 40% is going to ruin everything. I can't believe is Rio. He's thinking about shooting him here. Maybe he needs one more action. No, okay, that's enough for him, I guess. He
Yeah,
might no. So a couple things could be there. He could suspect the bug. I think he would have shot sooner if he were positive. Could suspect it. Could also just say, you know what? I'm gonna credit a fingerprint. It is not that weird, even on Terrace, where you have pretty good control of it, to say, you know what? I'm not confident I didn't miss a difficult, for example. Something like that. So
right.
I'm gonna say it's mostly the bug, but there are a lot of possible explanations there. Um, geez, I would say this is the first game that we have had that hasn't been totally crazy.
Yeah, I would say that's a pretty normal game. I do think that so far the tone of this set is spies being a little bit too passive, then putting themselves
Mm-hmm.
into a little bit awkward positions. Although sometimes they've still gone out of it, but that game was. I mean, the bug was actually really great. It's interesting. If we weren't a highlight, a strong highlight of that, by the way, a bear didn't actually move to highlight general. A bear waited for general to pass through the laser to do a highlight because a bear didn't want general to think that there was suspicion on them. But we were kind of like without options, and we kind of just threw together a lot of things. And so they took. I think a bear also just took a shot because like you've just done a lot of stuff. You've just done too much stuff, and I'm gonna
Yeah.
shoot you for it.
I actually think that was a pretty rough party. I just don't think there was a whole lot of activity. We mentioned the bar rush that happened right after their visit, but that was pretty much it. Other than that, pretty tepid overall. So
All right. Well, we are stepping into the next game, starting and also the same cup missions as normal. Starting in 3, 2, 1, go.
yeah, if you're Ryu, you're looking up at the scoreboard and thinking 4-1. What on earth? How has this happened?
All right. Well, not too much here at the start of the game. Uh, let's see. Ambassador is dropping a fingerprint on that statue, but really not much else going. We're gonna just pop over for interesting set of highlights going on here.
Yeah, I think if you see a lot of people talking in a conversation like that early on, you could say, you know what, it's a really good chance that one of these people is starting to move on their flirt early. And that's actually what happened with a bear. A bear got the first highlight there for a very short path from one conversation to the next. Frankly, was very spy-like. And
Banana bread.
those highlights are about to be validated because instead of highlighting all the people for a real BB, you just did it in advance. Saved a little time.
Right.
Let's see about Taft and Wheels, though. No, no.
Here's the bug. I don't
Oh,
like
that's
the
pretty darn
path.
good. No, I mean it's a bug path, but I don't think it's a visible bug is the thing. And if you haven't shot yet, maybe you could be confident at this point in the game that Seduce is not quite done yet, but you can't be confident that it's not done with one more talk. So if they don't shoot for the next talk, a bear's probably won this.
No, sorry. When I was talking about the path, I meant the path around Amber was fine. He seemed to change direction. The character seemed to
Yeah.
be going towards windows and then ducked over to statues, and that's a weird thing where it's like spies often focus on the bug path, and then they're like, "Wait, where am I going?" They
What do I
cut
do?
to
What
yeah,
do I do?
exactly,
Yeah.
right.
Right, yeah. And frankly, going to window after a bug is sort of a spy move. They just kind of want to rest afterwards and see what happens. It actually, I think, is better to go to something like statues if you can. But right, you need to think about it beforehand. You have to make up your mind. That's something I actually say when I tutor people early on. Is I say, make up your mind about where you want to go before you leave.
I was gonna say we were finally on pace for once, but then we red test the flirt, and we're gonna have to chase, and we have at least 2 flirts left.
Yeah. Now, as long as they get this one, though, they're in great shape.
All right, 6%. So no matter what, if we get a flirt off, we are going to be done in the next talk. But we do need to chase Queen wherever they go, and it's going
It
to
doesn't
take us.
matter. Yeah. If the shot hasn't come off yet,
Oh.
it's Queen, and that is a possible fingerprint, by the way, for Queen. There is part of it. So a bear had won that game anyway. The shot costs nothing. If they hadn't shot already, they weren't going to. You get away with the bug. That's all it is.
All right, well, a bear is taking quite a lead at this point, even though Ryu was opening pretty strongly, and that a bear has not felt that comfortable as spy, except that last game. That was a bear's best spy game so far. Even though there's the red test on the flirt near the end that put us into a little bit of an awkward spot, we would have been fine. We had 40 seconds, and Queen was gonna be walking away from there.
Yep, 5 in a row and on to library.
All right, here we go. We are on library, and I am still killing time because my game's still loading. There we go. And now I can start the countdown of 3, 2, 1, go. I always, I don't know why this is, but I always feel like Rocker is at the corner busts. it's just something that like I started seeing it and now I can't and now I see it again.
Now it's confirmation bias. Now it's
Right.
for the rest of your life. It's going to be no. It's a tell when Rocker's at bust.
Rocker at busts. Immediate spy. Ooh, all the double agents are on one side of the map too. We
The
have a
new
long.
three chills. Yeah, Rocker at bust. Wii U.
Something that bothered me a little bit with this opening, it's pretty minor, is focusing so much on getting seduction target done first that you go from one side of library to the other one.
Right.
It just bothers me a little bit with time, but we do pick up a
Yeah.
fingerprint, so we're making okay progress. This is fine.
Well, there are only a few things you can do that you know are relatively innocuous at the beginning. Maybe a fingerprint, maybe grab a book and don't decide right away what to do with it, or a flirt. Everything else is just a pretty big risk of a shot.
Also, I believe that we put that briefcase down way too quickly, but I think it's because both Ambassador and Double Agent, or sorry, not Double Agent, Toby were on the other side of the map, so that we were trying to be never seen with the briefcase at all.
And I think it probably worked too. And we're also going for a side statue here, which obviously is going to ripple throughout the game plan potentially.
That's one of the great things about Ambassador now with Fingerprint is that you can focus. You even we do get a highlight though for it or
Yeah,
for something.
I think what's going on there, and this when we swung back over a sniper, Ryu just seemed to get out of there really quick. Almost like they were trying not to be seen at statues for too long with that conversation cover. I think a bear is on this a little bit.
All right, well, here's Green Purloin, though. Like, this might be one of the cases where we get enough done quickly that we might be a bear's top suspect, but we might not be comfortable shooting.
Yeah, I don't think that reject was seen. They might be able to infer it happened, and the fingerprint is happening on screen right now, by the way. Ryu walks onto screen for the fingerprint, and a third mission is about to be done. I think a bear might not have seen the reject, but might be able to work backwards anyway based on how few suspects they have.
Right, well, we're probably going to hang... Oh, no! No. Okay, we don't get shot for it, though.
The purloin has not happened yet, by the way. I just don't see how they're going to be confident about who this could be.
Well, the pathing mistake at the windows doesn't seem... Okay, so Purloin's finally come off. We still have to inspect.
Looks like a low light took it, I think.
All right, well, I mean, honestly, we could even if we really wanted to push the issue swap right here.
I don't know if it makes sense or not. I think if a bear feels behind, they could take an aggressive shot right and salvage the game. They're really staring at this side of the map, though. They are, yeah, they're watching that statue. If it's a swap, they're going to be on it. They are. I think that's a mistake. I think, obviously, a huge suspect. A bear was watching very closely, but could they have really shot for nothing but talks after that?
Yeah, they would have been chasing talks, but you're right. Like, just being done with the flirt. You'd have to assume.
15 left?
Yeah,
2 flirts?
Yeah.
You got time for a timer flirt even? I don't know. Obviously a bit of a suspect for maybe that quick leave, maybe a little on that. I'm not sure. But it's just so hard to imagine them shooting for talk there. Ryu again has a win snatched from them at the last second. And oh my goodness, it is 6-1.
Yeah, and it really doesn't feel that way. Part of the temptation on that swap might have been the fact that both Seek and Salmon Danger were blocking the statues a bit, so the cover was pretty good. But if a sniper feels nervous about it, they're gonna find a way to see that statue.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and they might take a shot just if the view is blocked for a few seconds, just out of paranoia. So now Ryu needs 5 in a row to force overtime.
All right. Well, we are starting the next game. A bear as Irish, starting in 3, 2, 1, go.
Yeah, at least you get to start in the sniper side. But things are just not quite lining up. This feels like it could be 3-4, 4-3 pretty easily right now.
Instant green Purloin behind the pillar. And now we might actually be willing to make progress. Although now what's interesting is the Purloin's going to come off. It's going to be invisible. And then that's going to put Ryu on edge. So I'm not sure if a Bear is even actually... This is the game that basically a Bear might want to slow play. They want to get a BB off with a lot of people into it, and then Ryu is going to be a little bit off balance and want to take a shot. But,
well, not just a lot of people, a lot of Taft-looking people. Specifically, that's the person who took the guest list. And if you really have to notice, when you get that quick green Purloin, the number one thing you have to do is see who takes that list.
Ooh, and we are going to be... Oh, no. Taft doesn't quite join the conversation. We were following Taft into the conversation. With the real DA, it would be able to frame Taft and pick up mission credit for ourselves at the same time. But unfortunately, Taft's
3 whole minutes left. I don't think it matters too much. If you're playing the slow play, you're going to get more opportunities.
It's true. Although, and like, it could also be that this is
Banana
great
red.
play by the AI, knowing, ooh,
It's a
we
red, and Taft is out of conversation. I wonder what the plan is here. Is it just going to be a rush?
I suppose so. Now, so post red, I mean, we theorycraft about red a little too often, possibly, but I just like thinking about it. So post red, it's like, is the spy going to be done? Because right now the spy is theoretically going to be really nervous about the red, but they have to play like they're not nervous, and
Yeah.
especially a bear has to play like they're not nervous.
Yeah, whatever your game plan is, when someone does a red test BB or a clank or a crash, you might have to mix it up because someone who would normally say always complete missions, they might be forced into slow playing, cowed into it really, by that mistake. It actually can mess up the sniper quite a bit because you don't know what your game plan is anymore because you don't really have many examples of people reacting to that in the moment.
And Taft, by the way, not low lit, still in the highlights thing, and that doesn't seem to be a like a strategic
That's a
thing.
problem.
Yeah, it's just
No,
something where they
that's a big
missed it.
problem. I mean, they were completely on screen walking while the red happened. So it's just a failure of visibility there. That's all it is. It's not like they kind of came in and, hey, maybe they coughed as they were leaving, and I can't remember which cough indicates which thing. I would totally understand that. But in this case, they were on screen the entire time, and they were the purloin taker, so you'd think you'd be watching them a little closer than normal anyway. That's a big low light to miss, potentially.
97% on the flirt. Unfortunately, we got the white test. We do still have time. We are going to be dumping the book back into the correct bookshelf. Probably necessary because of how much scrutiny was going to be on. It was be easy to remember where Irish took that book from. And Taft, I have to admit, Taft is playing this as well. Oh, but now he's picking up the fingerprint. I was going to say, Taft is playing it well to not die. Taft is doing his damnedest not to get shot. He knows that he's in trouble. But unfortunately, he's still on the hit list for some reason.
Now,
We
a
are going
bear's
to be
going to go to statues late, and if you feel like you're behind, going to statues late again can tempt a desperate sniper. Really impressed, though, that Rio hasn't shot yet.
We only get the one inspect, and we get the inspect on the middle statue. Not the biggest deal, but that because of the other set of statues. But that does mean that to finish inspects on that side, we had to visit the middle statue, which is unfortunate. Um, we're kind of in trouble here, actually.
A little bit, and yeah, I mean, stop me if you've heard this one. The spy's having a little bit of trouble completing. If you're a bear, though, you get away with that timeout on that veranda game. You've done the red test, and you're not dead here. Part of you's got to be thinking, I'm just bulletproof. I'm invincible this set for some reason.
All right, well, we are visiting another statue here, and it's got to be inspect swap at this point. We
Yeah,
have another option.
and Rio's not even looking. Rio was staring at Taft when the ambassador walked by, but wow, takes the shot anyway. Clearly was trying to balance there. They were staring at Taft as the ambassador walked behind them, trying to guard against a reverse drive-by. So it really looked like for a second there, a bear was going to get their chance to finish. But I think at that point, just a little too much movement.
Well,
Wow.
interesting, interesting game, and one where it felt like the after getting away, it seemed like scot free with the purloin. We didn't quite make enough steady progress where we one of the ambient to be one of the ambient party goers that was just going to get stuff done, and that game got away from us a little bit.
Yep, Tan's next.
All right, I mean, got scoreboard. So we are at 6-2.
Yep.
All right, 6-2, and luckily it is a pretty swingy map. We'll see if Ryu can get away with a spy win starting in 3, 2, 1, go.
Yeah, and Ryu very nearly gave away a game in very similar fashion to that, where they just very patiently hold their shot to their own detriment, and a bear sneaks a spy win in under the wire, but it doesn't quite happen. This time, they managed. I think if the Amber were walking by a little later, they would have been forced to tunnel on Taft at the key moment, but instead it happened just before. They were able to swing back over and see, wow, another side statue visit from Irish? Well, I've only got a few suspects left anyway. Good enough for me.
And what's funny is most of the time those aggressive shots have not been working for Ryu earlier in the set. Most of the time it was better to wait and not focus in on someone's, but in that case it worked out. We go window to window as Teal. No
Banana
dice
red.
on getting a low light or anything. We do contactable agent. We have not tried to take the bug. Ambassador has been kind of awkward next to us where they left and came directly back. Seek would be a big suspect in my mind for reverse bugs. But so far, not too much suspicion thrown on them.
3 low lights from the banana bread, including both twins, so you don't have to worry about that this time.
Ooh, well, let's see where Smallman... Oh, Smallman takes kind of a weird path around, but again, Ambassador kind of avoiding us. We still, I mean, it is Tan, and I think Ryu did pretty well, unless my memory is correct incorrectly. Did pretty well in Tan, so pretty comfortable, especially with rushing, if I recall. So this is not too bad. This is the spot where Spy can fall behind. It's not bad at all. Unlike something like Ballroom or Library or Veranda, where the mission spots are so spread out.
Yeah, you can. We've talked about this a lot. You can just make steady flirt progress, get the BB at a reasonable time, and kind of do 2 or 3 missions in the last minute without even having to move around that much. And the ambassador will walk by you very often, so you don't even have to wait for the party to come to you necessarily.
Well, we're kind of just deciding not to get too much done. But the thing is, like, also on Taiyan, sometimes you don't really feel like you need a game plan because someone else just might get shot. And
I would say most of the time a game plan is inadvisable.
all right, well, we do get the bug, and it was behind the screen.
Oh, a bear is just staring that down, though. So suspicious of that bug. Well, here's the question, though. Are they suspicious of that a bug took place, or were they suspicious that a bug was going to take place, right? Because they were staring at it because it's such a good place for a bug, but if they missed it, they might have said, okay, I'm going to make sure a bug doesn't take place, but it already has. And that, of course, is one of the powers of bug, which is that you don't know it's taken place, which means you keep watching it even when the mission's already done.
All right, we're at 58%. I think this is going to be close enough if we get a green. It does look like it. We're really hoping for
Oh,
that.
definitely. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And there it is.
Okay, so from here on, we have transfer.
Oh, this looks like a
Probably not gonna
purloin
do- Oh,
instead
yeah.
of an inspect with a shoji.
Oh, honestly, maybe we should have even gone for a white at that point, but that's a big risk. Well,
Yeah, well,
luckily
here's-
it's gonna go. It's gonna stay behind the Soji. Oh,
This'll
we're
work
gonna
just-
wait. Okay.
Yep. You're going to take, and then the next person is going to be a green fade. But how do you get to see the fade clearly, right? If you see the fade clearly, you see it's a green after a take, you know for a fact that that's the spy, the previous taker, but you're not going to get a good look at the fade. You got to imagine someone else is going to get shot here.
4 seconds left. We have to make a choice now, and it is the wrong one, but it makes sense depending or because of Ryu's play. So just in case people don't understand what happened there, I think a lot of the people will. If you green purloin reject, if you are the next drink taker, it does not fade. So it basically delays the green purloin to the next person that takes it, which can mess up people. If people are only paying attention ever to whoever takes it is the purloiner. If whoever had before took a drink, whoever is next, if there's a purloin fade on it, it's definitely that person. You can kind of confuse it a little bit. Now, it still does have the green fade. It doesn't reset how the list fades, but it basically throws a little bit of nuance into the programming that some snipers have of, okay, purloin is clear from being any sorts of reject chains when someone takes a drink.
It means you can't safely reset your memory, and on most maps, most venues, it's too clever by half, but it works really well here because you almost never get a good look at the fade. 63.
Ryu's able to pick up a game and bring it back a little bit, and also kind of a confident play. I like it, especially on Tane when you can't get a look at the fade, because the big counterplay to that is if you get a great look at the fade and you're like, wait, what? How is that a green purloin fade on that where the last person that took a drink wasn't? And then you can actually deduce that it was the person who took the drink last is the person that rejected it, as strange as that is.
Yeah, in fact, it has to be. But
Right.
if you don't see the fade, it doesn't matter.
All right. A bear is going to be starting as spy on Taeyan in 3, 2, 1, go. We also have the no statues Soji layout. It's not the biggest deal, but it is a little bit harder for the spy to get away with stuff on this one because it's like the sniper's just a little bit more confident what they can look at.
Yeah, statues still a really big part of this. It's still easier to get statues done than books, and as I mentioned before, with books you have to visit both at some point, whereas with statues you can do everything in one visit. So it is it's an asymmetrical difference for sure.
That and while we're also focusing in on the fact that no statues are covered, what also really matters is just part of the party isn't covered. So, like, for example,
Right.
all the times in which Toby's going to be on the right side of the map, there's not going to be cover for purloins. There's not going to be cover for bugs on the right side of the map. You really want them just to get mixed up, just so there's not just this lane that the sniper can stare down.
It does help with pathing a little bit of spy, though. You have this nice big open area you can cut through. Otherwise, you have to do a lot of bobbing and weaving.
All right, well, we're focusing. See, the thing is, we're getting to focus in on purloin so much right now. We're pretty comfortable with it. We are interestingly looking over to the left a little bit nervous. Ambassador is going to be a big point of focus for the next bit because he's going to be behind two Sojis. So no matter where he goes for a little bit, he's going to be covered. But
Yeah.
right now, he's also easy to guard because no one's near him.
I'm pretty sure what's going on there is that Walt was at Windows, and we've seen a bear just do so many time ads.
Very true. Not that many people have picked up statues. Here is Wheels. We also haven't seen many specific spy frames in this set. We saw some with Noob, and I'm personally a fan of trying to get in there and frame, especially on if you can get a character to stand in front of you, because one of the reasons you're not going to want to frame immediately is because there's not a Soji to protect the transition. But if you get another character in there, sometimes you can still make it look a little bit awkward. And you can make it look like a green swap, but it's a high risk.
Seduce done, by the way, and that's pretty significant.
We still have about a minute to go. We might need to force this double agent, this contact in here now. There's a couple of people out, but I think we just need the credit. Both the credit for our own mission progress and the credit to have people possibly be done.
3 possible lowlights. It's going to be Walt, Twin, and Alice. Let's see how many they get. 1, 2. 2 out of 3. Not bad. Nope, they get them. They get all 3. Okay. But here's what's interesting. Because they're already high lit, Twin's already high lit, the one click bumps them down to neutral, not to low. You have to actually click twice if you want a low light, unless you remember offhand whether or not they were high lit before. That's interesting.
We're set up in a spot where a purloin late wouldn't be too bad, but we need another mission done, so I don't think that's actually our plan.
I think a bear is just... Normally when you're game planning, you're expecting to have had more bug opportunities by now. You're kind of just assuming at some point I'm going to get that bug, and it just hasn't happened yet.
We are rushing for book at this point, which I would personally really love. Oh, it's a fingerprint. That makes sense.
That bump around from Twin. Twin does like a little bump and goes into a new conversation. If they talk...
All right, we are waiting until the last few seconds, really hoping for a green, and that Rio will have a pending person. So it's a white test.
It's a white test.
We should be getting so many lowlights if we're not sure
What
about
is going on right now? Yes. I don't understand. It's just like last time with the white test time ad late with the beeps. Why? I don't understand why there aren't more lowlights now. Any.
Right. Okay.
I wonder if they're even looking or if they just hear the beep stop and they're treating it like a pending, but it's not a pending.
Oh, we take safety off on
Taft.
Oh, but no. Okay, so maybe we did notice it enough, and we were just waiting for something to happen. But yeah, that sort of thing makes me nervous. It could have been a case of the sniper was positive about who it was and just like wasn't going to bother with low lighting people and just focus on them. But
that makes perfect sense. But based on the earlier game, I was a little paranoid. I thought, oh goodness, I can't believe they're going to miss it again.
All right, well, we are tagged for the late transfer attempt. Even if we got that transfer off, though, we still need to do one more thing. It's probably going to be rushing for a bug. We couldn't really go for a timeout again at that position. Maybe the briefcase was going to be free behind us, but even if we got away with that microfilm, it still was only 3 missions done.
Yeah.
Okay, and we are going to be stepping into pub, and Rio brings it up to 6-4. Bit of a run back.
Yeah. Let's start the game. We'll talk about it a little. Yeah.
All right, updating the scoreboard and starting in 3, 2, 1, go.
Yeah, this is the big moment now because now it is 6-4. Ryu's won 3 in a row, and this is their spy game. They're obviously going to be a favorite, not a huge favorite, but a favorite on Pub as Sniper. If they can pull out a spy win here, their odds of making it to overtime go way up.
And we opt into the statue visit. We took over control, and we still ran the entire way there. So we are probably hoping for a quick finish just before a bear is comfortable shooting. We do get this green at the bar. Luckily, huge. Seduction target decides to stay in sip.
Yep, that is huge. You get the possibility of a 2-flirt done, which means you can rush with that instant inspect and try to force them to make a tough shot. If you hit a green flirt on this, the next one, it's so tempting to just go BB and say, go ahead and shoot me. You've seen 1 talk and 2 possible flirts in the whole game. Are you going to credit me for all that?
All right, looks like we're going to be doing innocent path to the far conversation circle so that we are able to leave unsuspiciously pretty quickly. We're going to pet the dog. Well, actually, not even really the dog. There's a bit of a desync thing there. But someone does join us.
Oh, gets highlight for it, though. Very interesting. Maybe didn't like the path. I like the choice, though, by... didn't go into a conversation when she went back into the bar, so you can't just rush the flirt the way I was talking about. I think at that point it makes sense to say, you know what, never mind. Let's let a few more people visit statues. Salmon has already done it, for example,
Right.
and try to finish this, with steady progress the whole way, and make sure I get a really good banana bread rather than force that difficult shot.
Yeah, and I think that it could also just be a highlight for a late highlight for Inspect because Salmon Danger got a late highlight
Yep.
as well.
Yep, that's true. And it's on pub. You can afford to do that, and
Oh
it's worked now.
no,
90.
98%.
That is a problem. You still have a lot of time. I don't think the extra talk is going to hurt you too much,
Well, it's just
but
unfortunate because it's just like it's one of those things we talk about all the time, and especially you. There's
it's an
there's
unforced error.
it's pixels away. If you
Yeah.
would have been suspicious for talking slightly closer, you would have still been equally as suspicious.
Yeah. Now Ryu gets a fingerprint in the meantime, so they have so many ways to finish right now that could force a difficult shot on a bear. But they also seem to have pretty good control of the party right now. Very interesting. Salmon, by the way, has been low lit. One of the statue visitors low lit.
All right, well, we still have a talk and a fingerprint to go, and as a highlight, that's going to be tough on this map. So we need to jump back into that conversation circle and get that done at the very least. We're going to be opting out of it. We do have time. There is enough time to do this and to flirt and to pick up a fingerprint. The fingerprint also is going to have to get reset by the double agent right here.
Yeah, so what's really interesting about this right now is that the game is currently turning on pathing. Salmon seems to have gotten a pathing low light, even though he was a statue visitor, and Ryu picked up a highlight for pathing. It's the kind of thing where there's such a guessing game on pub about who's going to finish and who's not. Sometimes you'll have multiple people who could finish in a given game. So what you end up with are things like behavioralism, pathing, etiquette, and right now, pathing is keeping a bear in this game.
If we were going to come here and talk with the ambassador, we needed to stand close enough to force him to leave and to open up that fingerprint. Because that seemed to be what we were trying to do, is wait for ambassador to leave. But ambassador's not going to leave if we're talking to them. They like our conversation.
Banana bread.
We'll just do the boring thing and finish BB. It's just not a good time. Two highlights are going to get knocked out, 3 total people, and Ryu is running all over the place, trying to rush this flirt. It's going to be overtime.
Oh, it might not be quick enough, though. Oh, no,
It's
it is.
quick
It
enough.
is.
I think they're going to get shot. They're going to get shot if it goes to OT. There it is.
All right.
That is the set, 7-4. Actually pretty close. I think if they make slightly better progress, and if a bear doesn't manage to get those pathing highlights and lowlights, they would have had a really good chance with that early green flirt. But pathing is the difference in the game and ultimately the set. A bear is in the semifinals.
Oh, great point. So far, in our first set, a very well played set of games by Pwn Noob and Crazy Kaylee. Crazy Kaylee took it. And are they the ones that face each other? I think they're in different parts of the bracket, though.
Yeah, different parts. It's myself and Opie on the other side, across from Kaylee and Noob. The winner of Rio a Bear, which we now the Bear, will face the winner of David W and Lazy Bear. The Bear matchup, the Bear grudge match, still possible.
Still alive, hoping for the Bears to come together.
Yeah, sorry, David. I love you, David, but you got to take one for the team here.
That's true. Yeah. Now, I'm hoping that David takes on his full heel turn as being the person preventing the Bear matchup, which will be begrudged forever.
Yes. Yeah, I'll be very upset with David W. Come on, turn into David L. just for one match. Come on, buddy. Just throw the game. Let us get our Bear matchup. Be cool.
Okay, so I believe that we are going to be moving on to a set of very talented players who put on also great shows and cast and organize very well and cast very well. But
You
that also
are
means
too
that
kind.
they,
Yeah.
yeah. But no, but that does mean that we are going to be saying goodbye to Warning Track for this set, because otherwise he would just be talking about how good one of the players is and what trash the other one is, and pretending to be present when
Yep.
we.
I can't feign that level of modesty, so I will take off and you guys cast it. And thank you for having me all. Thank you for watching, and enjoy the rest of the show.
Very good, very good. So hopefully, I believe Yeesh will be hopping on to join me in a moment. I hope that he's around or in the stream. But in the meantime, great set of games. Really enjoyed both of these. Like in the first set, actually it was very strong play. And then just like the few little spots didn't shake out the way that Noob was hoping for, but really did put pressure on Kaylee, not the comfortable play he was hoping for. And in this set, most of the wounds were self-inflicted, honestly, and I don't know if that's nerves or just planning, but just some easy things that the good news though is their reactions to some of them they got missions done. I don't think we had any timeouts unless I'm mistaken. So they didn't mismanage it to the point where they could not finish and it was just completely awful. But if they clean that little bit up, I think they're going to be very strong competitors. Oh, and Yeesh is now in. Hello, Yeesh.
Hello, how's it going?
Going very well. Do you have the games all ready to go?
I'm ready whenever you are.
Cool. Well, we're going to be jumping into Opie Rights versus Warning Track. I don't know if you have anything in particular you'd like to mention about these two players.
I mean, both are pretty strong. Opie Wrights has been extremely active recently, and Warning Track, being a diamond player, hasn't been as active, but definitely played some. So my money's still on Warning Track, but I think if you're above 3,000 games, I think you can upset any top player. So I think Opie Wrights could definitely give Warning Track a run for his money.
Very true, very true. And also, Opie Wrights has been very active in organizing the tournaments recently, and so has been very competitively minded. While Warning Track might be more about using this as an opportunity to get sharp before SCL. I know that he would really love to get as far as he can in this tournament, especially if he could match up against Kaylee, which is a possible finals from here on out. I mean, oh, sorry, not even finals. That's who he will face if he's able to win it. So, Warning Track would very much like to face Kaylee and get some much needed research as a research oriented player. And so I know that that's part of the thing he's aiming for is I'm assuming he's just hungry for a match versus Kaylee. Aside from being able to get a shot at the finals. I mean, right now the way that the brackets are set up, if we have Kaylee and possibly Warning Track, possibly Opie Wrights in the top half, and then we're gonna have Ryu and a Bear versus the winner of Lazy Bear and David W. So we're gonna have finals of at least something that is either Opie Wrights or Crazy Kaylee or Warning Track in the top half, and then one of the I don't even want to say new players anymore because they've been playing so goddamn much since the release of Steam Early Access. That one of that generation, I guess, like of the about we're coming up on a year almost, I guess more like 9 months, but the people that are starting to enter into the veteran status of that wave of players.
Yeah, they have about 4,000, 5,000 games apiece, and they're all serious threats. And just being active, I think, is one of the biggest factors in how well you perform. You're up to date on the meta. You have prepared new tactics to deal with the common strategies snipers employ. So I think being active, honestly, is one of the key things to being successful in competitive setting.
Okay. I believe our first map is going to be Terrace with Warning Track as Pearls. Is that what you have as well?
I do.
Great. Let me get the scoreboard set up for just a moment. And then also let me change the caster banner because now we have Yeesh. All right, sorry for the delay. Now we have the scoreboard all ready to go. Warning Track versus Opie Wrights. Starting in 3, 2, 1, go.
One of the very interesting things about Terrace is that there's been in the Winter Cup at least, it's been a surprisingly high amount of spy wins due to Civ Shot or Spy Win. And I think that's just due to spies taking more aggressive risks, like purloining and trying to bait a shot, or half and just going for it because Terrace is usually a very difficult map to just win straight up.
Very true. And I know that Track has certain convictions about Terrace and the way that he likes to play it. And I'm curious how that's going to play out versus OP. We get just a little bit of seduction progress done. We're going to be committed to the 3 for at the very least, but I'm more interested in what Track thinks he can get done. Right now, we're not in a position where it looks like we're not aiming for like a reverse bug, for example, because even if Ambassador walked behind us in this position, it would still be kind of visible to the sniper. So he's definitely just trying to hang out in here. He does an innocent talk, just trying to throw a little bit of flirt timing off if he's just waiting for the pacing on the flirt, because I think he's going to be timer flirting in this position. Oh, and he
Oh,
red
man.
BBs.
Oh no, this is how
Kitty Kids low lit.
this is the strat.
This is
Wow.
planned strat. This is from before the match. We plan. We're obviously kidding. So the thing that's crazy is so back in the day, red BB was death. Back in Old Art, it was just death because the entire torso moved as well. It was a very, very, very visible tell, and so sometimes we overreact to red BBs, and that was a big overreaction. I mean, we didn't. I am pretty surprised that we didn't catch that because we were right in the front conversation circle, and I'm sure that Warning Track is pretty sure that he's in the top tier of suspects because the laser came over. But right now, I mean, I guess I hope we beat it here. Okay, good.
Yeah, we have to at this point. One thing to note is that Warning Track had a great opportunity for BB, but Smallman was out, and he had a fingerprint. So Warning Track waited until he went back in conversation, and Opie stalls in highlight, and he takes the shot.
He takes the
So
shot.
this frame, I guess, worked.
And so, and this shot makes total sense if you miss the cough, because who would be really hard to see cough? Smallman. Smallman would be the hardest person to see cough. And so this absolutely lines up, but it only lines up if you're sure that you know who coughed. And I think that snipers, you have to be more humble about catching the cough because it's really not as obvious as it was. You take the information that you know you can get. The information you know you can get is the normal BB information, and you also know it must be someone talking. So don't try to like overthink it and try to decide who you think coughed. Instead, see who is not talking, low light them. They're not the spy. If there's a red BB, and even if they're in a conversation circle, not talking, not spy, if you get there in time, because they still have to do a stop talk after their cough, and it has to be a little bit. So unfortunate.
Yeah, a little bit interesting from the sniper perspective. The instant the cough happens, Warning Track is, even though he's in his talking animation, his hands are down in the idle position. So it really looks like, from Opie's perspective, that if he didn't see the hand go up just a little bit earlier, that there's no way White Dress could be talking here. So I can totally understand why. Well, if you didn't see that cough, then it had to be someone I didn't see. Smallman is number one suspect. And he did not BB when Smallman was out. So even more suspicion added onto that. So pretty nice there, even though it was certainly unintentional.
Certainly unintentional. And the other thing that I would say that sort of uh, uh, tilts snipers on red BBs is they feel like they need to take a shot earlier when they really don't. Smallman would have had to have flirted, and I'm guessing got credited with the bug, which is a lot. But I guess if you narrow down the party at that point, all that Smallman is left, you're just hoping, okay, maybe I did miss something, and you're crediting Smallman with doing other shenanigans. But yeah, unfortunate for Opie Wrights, and so I hope it does not tilt at all, even though it definitely could. So bad start necessarily, but definitely not something that you can't come back from. Opie really is going to want to win this next game, starting in 3, 2, 1, go.
Yeah, when you have a bad sniper game like that, usually it's really good if you can just follow it up with a solid spy game. Just relax a little bit. You don't have to do anything mechanically intensive. There's not too much focus. So usually spy, it's a good time to just relax and try to get a clean.
The thing I will say that OP definitely has going in their favor is they seem to have a relaxed personality. So I don't think they're going to overreact to just dropping a sniper game like that. I mean, there's a lot of different ways to drop a sniper game. It's a bummer that they didn't catch the cough, and it's a bummer to have the wrong shot, but I'm pretty confident they're not going to overreact too much. Although, unfortunately, we do get a 48% on the flirt, meaning that 2 flirt is out of range. So we are going to have to talk at least twice more.
Yeah, I know from knowing about Track is that he will care if you like cheese him super hard, but he's not going to pay the closest attention to flirt tracking. So even though Opie Wrights there did a talk while leaving, and did a really weird path. Track's not going to credit that too much. Maybe he'll make a note of it, but you're not going to get highlight or low lit off.
Oh, I just got a note saying that Smallman had two early fingerprints in that game, so the shot makes a little bit more sense, but unfortunately still on the red BB not being seen. All right, so we are burning a little bit of time here. We really are reluctant to BB with Orange and Smallman out of the conversation circle, but we're gonna have to start doing something soon. Hopefully, Orange Dress joins us. No dice.
Yeah, if one of those characters from the bar join us, we can do a BB split and delegate ourselves, and that puts us into a 50-50, which honestly, as I said on Terrace, you have to take some risks, considering this map is quite difficult to play and just win cleanly on.
And we're gonna have to do something because Seduction Target might not be joining us for quite a while. We need to start thinking about what's the next thing we're gonna do is because Seduction Target picks up Briefcase. Looks like they are not even enjoying a conversation. Oh no, they are joining the far conversation. So I'm guessing we're gonna have to chase at this point because we only got 48 seconds and we're gonna have to talk twice, at least twice.
And then, yeah, what's the final mission? I guess the one thing we could attempt is a immediate, but it's been so far now. It's definitely been past a minute since Orange Dress took the list, so this is going to be really tough.
99%. It's very sad, but it was pretty much inevitable. And so, like, there was nothing. Yeah.
It was destined from the start whenever we got the 48%.
We go for a bug. Unfortunately, the angling on the bug, there was a lot of open space on the side of the arm. I think that Opie was intending to bug with the other arm, but unfortunately, just the angling that we had, there was a lot of empty ground to see the arm bug.
Yeah, this is actually a somewhat common bug. It's coming more into popularity. Is this bug as you enter the conversation, and then the idea is that your arm will be behind the ambassador, but unfortunately it's the wrong arm, and Warning Track just had solid control of the party. He wasn't going to let that slip by.
All right, well, Warning Track picks up both games on Terrace. The second one was a pretty standard game. I think the first one was really the one that got away from Opie. So, but really not too bad. Going down the two games isn't the end of the world, but it does mean we need to pick something up, and probably soon versus a player of Warning Track's caliber. So we're gonna need to get something done on this map, starting in 3, 2, 1, go. All right, so we are starting as wheels. We're going to roll right over to get a quick side inspect and some for progress. I think that this is like, if Track could will it like this, I think this is going to be like one of his favorite types of openers, is getting a little bit of progress on 2 missions like this and give himself options. Gonna love it. It's a great place to be a spy. Also hits the green, so possibly we could do something of a rush on this map. Because Ballroom, even though it feels pretty big, is still an any 4 of 8 map. If we're able to get another seduction done, like let's say if we go to the other conversation circle, get a banana bread, and just finish the inspect, we only have to do one more thing, honestly. Banana bread might not be the best with the amount of people in though, but I'm just jumping in. Although we are not close enough, I think, to our seduction target to finish here, but I don't think he cares. I think that was a conscious decision. It wasn't like it was a few pixels off. And we are going to contact.
Banana bread.
Yeah, this is a gorgeous contact, and we're in position to reverse bug. We have pretty nice cover now with Irish and Morgan both blocking. So if the ambassador ever passes our way, that's a free bug. Another thing to note is that we didn't get highlight for inspects. Another popular thing new players like to do is just highlight for 3 inspects, and if you just get side statues, they won't highlight you. So this can be pretty solid if you wait a long time. Let's see if Opie remembers. He does, so he highlights for completion. But that can be really nice to get those early inspects, and then maybe the sniper will forget about it later since they don't highlight for it.
Very true, very true. And I'm like right now, I think Track is just trying to plan out what his last mission is going to be. It possibly is a purloin. Are we going to bet everything on this? We are deciding not to, and we have a ton of options here. We might just hang out and go for a reverse bug. Unfortunately, there's not that much cover for the arm, and it doesn't really matter because... okay, we're going to throw a bit of confusion in there, and we're going to purloin. Ooh, it is very visible. The plan was there, but unfortunately OP responded correctly and didn't go for the lowlights during the banana bread and missed the purloin. But that was a very intentional play by Warning Track, but OP was on top of it.
Yeah, just being high out there makes that a bit tougher. If we wanted to do that, maybe we do it before we get in specs so we don't get highlight, but either way, that was kind of tough. Wheels is also not the character you really want to be bugging with because their arm is so low and the bugging animation just isn't great. So I can understand the purloin play. If you get a green there, that's really good. So
It's
fair
very
play to
true.
Warning Track. Just didn't work out.
Yeah, and the thing is, well, I'm gonna go ahead and start the next game and talk about it a little bit. So we're starting the next game where OP as is Irish, starting in 3, 2, 1, go. Is what I really like is the use of resources. So the resource that we had in that match is we had 3 missions done and we just had to get one hardtail done basically, or a couple of fingerprints. Something we had to get something difficult done. And I liked the use of the resources. Is there's probably still a lot of neutral lights out there. Where if there's only a few highlights left in the party, you really have to opt more for a sort of frame or getting something done where they want to shoot, like getting a green purloin and making people get suspicious or whatnot. But instead, we go for an early-ish fake banana bread, which makes sense for the sniper to really try to nail down the lowlights in that scenario, and then hopefully they're looking away from purloin long enough that it gets off, and by the time they see it, it's too late. So I like the plan a lot. Uses resources well, but OP responds very strongly. We are at 51 on the flirt, and we're probably just gonna hop into something like statues, maybe. Yeah, it looks like it.
Warning Track, unlike OP, will probably highlight for these side statues. Yeah. So
And a
now it's going to
fingerprint
be
too.
really tough. But yeah, fingerprint. So 2 missions in one is always nice. So even the highlight might just be. And we could get a bug here. Irish, even though she's highlight, she still has a great bug. So unlike Wheels, where bug is kind of out of the picture once we're highlight, as Irish, it's still very plausible to get a clean bug by.
Something that I'm noticing I already like a lot about OP's play, moves his camera a lot during when he's just doing nothing in conversation, looking to get a bearing of the party. Sometimes, and this is something that I do as my spy, I don't look around enough and like try to get like because I'm kind of just like waiting around for seduction to cool down, think about what my next move is. But sometimes it's better to look around, whip around, see where's Ambassador, where's Toby, what are people doing, other people at statues. A lot of camera movement even when we're not moving from OP, which I love. Also, pretty good opportunity for banana bread at this point. Three pretty full
Banana bread.
distributed conversations, and another one that has a double agent inside of it.
Yeah, especially versus Warning Track, he's not going to be guarding Softails incredibly closely. So I think getting in contact and seduce done fairly aggressively is a good strategy versus. And now we've got just Softails remaining, but we are highlight. And the ambassador hasn't moved yet, so it might be really difficult to get this last print.
Yeah, and I was curious about whether or not we were going to try to do the print first or the statues first. Right now, I think the problem that I have right here is Track is on top of how far we are in our mission progress because he is guarding that swap extremely closely, which means he knows that Irish has 3 missions done, no more, no less, and he knows he needs to guard that last one, making the fingerprint really difficult. I think we get shot there just in case we misjudged how far away the bug was, so maybe we were worried that OP was able to sneak in a bug and that we weren't able to see it. So Track is on top of it, and then actually Track himself mentions this a lot. He credits he credits himself with not being sure that that would be too far for a bug, and takes the safer shot instead. Is willing to admit that they could have missed something like the bug at that point. So on top of OP that game, pretty solid. OP played pretty well. I think they would have died for that last fingerprint either way, but not bad at all.
Yeah, just kind of unfortunate there. I understand OP's uh, what he wanted to do there because he wants to get the blue book as soon as possible so that he doesn't create OT when the ambassador puts it back. But then, unfortunately, Track is really aware that OP just needs one more mission. So, really tough there. But now, what's the score? 3-1?
3-1 Warning Track. So honestly, we're very much still in range, but uh, definitely needs to pick up the next couple of games if we really want to try pushing it down the stretch. Veranda, honestly, Veranda we'd be okay with the split. We really need to avoid going down 2 games on Veranda. So we're going to be putting a lot of pressure on these couple, but not the easiest map to sweep. But we need to not get swept. All right, and warning track as queen, starting in 3, 2, 1, go. All right, RB going to opt into this book play.
Looks like we're going for no control, but are we going to just immediately bail? The laser's on this side, so warning track decides otherwise. But goes for the interesting. I guess he saw that the laser was moving around. It's going to be tougher to catch microfilm when you're moving around than when you're not.
And we do not opt for the reverse drive-by bug, which was a good decision because Opie seemed to be had eyes on both arms, so it would have been pretty apparent. And so I do like we're almost certainly going to be going for an 18 microfilm at this point, and it's the kind of thing that you can kind of sprinkle into your gameplay. One thing that I always get bothered by microfilm because I almost always direct transfer. But one thing that I can definitely say for the for action test transferring is that you can sprinkle it into the rest of your game much more easily because you're not burdened necessarily by taking books out and moving them around. It's easier to get it done quicker, or sorry, get it done in between things quicker rather than having your hands taken up by a book for so long. All right, and we're probably going to be hoping for a contact at some point here. There's enough people in conversation circle, but we're moving away from that. We're just going to pick up our first couple of inspects. So let's see. What do you think the game plan is here?
I think for sure we go to this blue bookshelf now, especially since the ambassador's there. It's definitely better than red shelf for microfilm. So now we're going to get fingerprints, the last microfilm, inspects. We are highlight though. We went to that bookcase really quick right after the green one, so OP highlighting maybe worried about the possible microfilm rush.
Very true. We get seduction done. Right now, let's see what we have scouted is we're gonna inspect and we're probably gonna transfer at some point. Um, we're almost certainly going to want to do the action test transfer at blue bookcase unless we get cover from someone in front of us on red bookcase. It's a little bit odd. Green bookcase is often the best one to do action tests at unless red becomes like extremely much more difficult to track if you have someone blocking the arm motion at red bookcase. But we are going to be going for blue, and it's going to be a fingerprint at the same time, and we get a green test, and it's off screen, so this is looking pretty good for getting away with this at least, but we do still need to get statues and fingerprint, and then presumably double agent. And that's a lot to do when you have this highlight, and there's not any other highlights on the map at all except for Toby and Ambassador.
That was sort of ugly though.
We
Warning track went over to
Banana
Duke at
bread.
blue bookcase and then chased him again to statues.
Yeah, but
It's like
we have a green swap coming off, and we get shot for the bail, unfortunately. So okay, so the end of that game, we decide to opt out of the fingerprint because maybe we correctly assumed how much pressure was on us. So we go for the double agent, bail on the double agent. Someone's walking over to collect the statue at first, but the bail itself is enough to get a shot. So big calculated risk, but it does not work so far. Warning Track has taken a few calculated risks versus OP, but OP has actually been pretty on top of it, pretty comfortable with shooting, and not basically buying into Warning Track's gambit.
yeah, I think warning track just getting highlight early on sort of sealed his fate a little bit early. If he had, I don't know, waited in that conversation, maybe got a reverse bug, and then we get put in the same position. Maybe we don't get highlight for going to the blue bookcase later, since would have been at least 2 minutes have passed at that point.
I
But yeah,
definitely agree. I think that Warning Track assumed he was much less of a suspect than he was, and so it was more important for the swap to not be seen than for the bail to be seen because I don't think he thought he was. He definitely didn't think he was the only highlight on the map.
right. Especially since when he went to statues, he didn't see the laser come over him, so he's like, oh, maybe I didn't even get highlight for inspects. So
Very true.
kind of playing into Opie's plan there.
Oh, I actually really like that point a lot because yeah, he would have had to assume the highlight earlier, and so when the highlight didn't come from the inspect, track would be forced basically into whether or not he just completely was under OP's radar, or they would have been highlight earlier. And we are going to go ahead and start the next game. Opie as Crazy Eyes or Mom or Teal. There's so many names for them. Starting in 3, 2, 1, go.
And hey, look, we're in the exact same position Warning Track was, and we go to the green bookshelves. Let's see how Opie plays this game.
Yeah, I'm curious. Track is keeping Opie on screen, but there is it's the high level BM reflecting the same game plan against the sniper you've just played, but we seem to opt out of it at least immediately.
Yeah, it looks like we're going to hold on to this book. This is probably the most common direct transfer, but Warning Track does prefer to mark books, so he, at least in this situation, he did mark Opie's. So it's going to be tough unless Opie can somehow cheese this book with maybe a contact and put it into red and then run away.
It's going to be tough while Ambassador's still on this side because there's going to be enough focus put on this side that he's not going to be. Oh, wait, no, we're just going for it. Well, we'll see. Track is zoomed in, but will he see that Teal is walking away from that bookcase and causing some pathing problems? Not pathing problems for themselves, but pathing problems for the AI and kind of bullying AI around. It definitely happens for other AI, but spies tend to get caught up in a little bit more often. But we seem to get away with it, and we have transfer done. We don't seem to be under huge suspicion, and we got 67% on the flirt. It's not looking bad for OP. We might be able to tie this up.
Yeah, there was some wild pathing with the AMBA, so there's very likely that Warning Track was extremely worried about guarding that and not too worried about. Maybe he'll remember, like, hey, he didn't put that back, but it looks like we're okay.
Unfortunately, I think we were doing fine until that bug. So the thing that kills the bug path for me on this one is the fact that they're forced to bounce, right? Where when you're having to stay close to Ambassador, so when there's bouncing, spies, when they're trying to bug, will try to stay near the Ambassador. But if there's bouncing, AI will bounce away. And so not only was the bug path suspicious in that it was near the Ambassador, but it stayed near the Ambassador when AI would have bounced away from them. And so it made the bug that much more apparent.
Yeah, just was not quite aware that Orange Dress was coming into the conversation. And then if Orange Dress wasn't there, the bug would have been much tighter and harder to see since he could have taken a harder angle and the curtain would have hidden it. But then Orange Dress comes in, we get bumped out, and then it's just in the plain view for Warning Track to catch.
All right. Well, so we definitely would have loved to have tied it up there as Opie, but holding there was not the end of the world when we get to step in Tan, which definitely could swing either way. And so this is going to be a big fulcrum for the rest of the match. And we're going to be starting with Warning Track as Wheels, sort of a discount Smallman that's sort of underrated on Tan for being able to get away with things in the blind spot. Oh, I don't know if Smallman's actually. Oh, the Smallman is in here. Good job. Good job. Making sure that we have our cast selected. All right. Starting in 3, 2, 1, go.
Not picking him as ST though, risking the potential Smallman SDA. But yeah, Wheels on this map, even though Wheels' bug is not really good in general, on this map, it's even better than Gallery. Insanely hard to see.
Absolutely. And also, sort of like every once in a while, I'm wondering if there's enough built-in fear of Wheels at this point, because right now we're set up for the bug. When Ambassador leaves, we're really hoping that the Ambassador left behind us it doesn't bite, but the position that Track is in looks like that. Are we gonna go for it right now? Here it is, and it is invisible except for the wait. No, but it doesn't take. Ooh, I'm really surprised that it actually doesn't take. It seemed to be right on. So the animation did play, but very unfortunately, Ambassador decides not to stay close enough to us. Maybe we're hoping Ambassador is a little bit kinder. Maybe he goes to the back bookshelf and we're able to get another attempt off, because almost certainly we are here because we want to get this bug. Ambassador is going to stick around here for a little bit, but one of the things about Tane is Ambassador never stays around long. Like, not only is Bug sort of really difficult to catch on Taein, Ambassador can never really rest in one spot very long. You can't there's like no conversation that Ambassador's not going to get bullied out of within like 15 seconds. So we might just stick around here and decide to go for a bug later. But unless someone else gets shot, we're really focused in on trying to get the reverse drive-by.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically invisible and it's a free mission, and almost it's basically a necessity in this point in the meta at least to get bug, where people are so reliant on getting it that not getting it is really bad because you end up having to rush another mission that you don't want to run. So getting this reverse bug is going to be huge.
Banana bread.
We just sprinkle a contact in there. We give what is that? 3 lowlights off. Not as good as I think he was hoping for. Tex, or sorry, I can't remember. Someone left right as the banana bread was going off, which is unfortunate. But we do need to sprinkle in some other things there. We get the green purloin. So at this point, we're definitely hoping for a wrong shot more than we were hoping to finish missions. There are a lot of fingerprints, by the way, being put on this map. There's 2 at least on statues. Book has been touched at least twice, I want to say. And then obviously all the ambient fingerprints on briefcase. So it'd be hard for OP to hold their shot after the banana bread and purloin have gone off, but unless there's a behavioral read, which there might be because we are one of 3 remaining non-low lit people. Right now, there's only the highlight on Carlos. We're neutral lit, and General gets knocked out. There's only 2 people left in play at the moment.
Yeah, that was one of the purloins on Taein where the fade was actually, which is kind of funny. You actually lowlight the character that took the purloin for us just because it was so far in the you get that bug. OP was looking at Wheels to see the idle animation so desperately.
Banana bread.
Here's the big moment,
Wheels...
and there it is. Sorry to jump in there, but unfortunately, Carlos decided the only other person that was out of Conversation Circle was the one person we really needed to be in Conversation Circle. And OP trusts their low lighting enough to say, oh, you've eliminated the only other person that I think it's not. I'm willing to take this shot on you. And it is correct.
Yeah, just really on top of the purloin, it seems like. And also just made a ton of aggressive lowlights in like the last minute of the game, which is kind of strange because ideally you'd like to keep as like many suspects open as possible to see like, oh, who's rushing their final mission, but just goes for a bunch of hard reads and gets it down to 2, which basically wins him the game right there.
Yes, seems to be all over the purloin and narrows it down to the possible people that it was. And then, unfortunately, if I had been really curious if Carlos was in conversation, who between Carlos and Wheels would have gotten shot. But able to pull it off, and an impressive game from Opie. And we're going to be starting on the next one, and then. Right now we are at 4-3 warning track, and he's going to really want to be holding serve at this point. And we're going to go ahead and start in 3, 2, 1, go. People in chat are also pointing out that OP took second in the Taein tournament from a little bit ago, so comfortable on this map.
For sure, and this is not a map that's very easy to get comfy on to set up a rhythm. Very easy for AI to just complete missions and just shoot in. So you have to, 1, stop the spy from just timing out and then you losing. That's like one of the hardest things is just, oh, contact, maybe purloin, and then I just lose because I shoot a civilian. So making sure that doesn't happen, and then making sure you don't lose to bug. It's like, whew. Taein is no joke as sniper.
All right, we go ahead and grab a fingerprint. And we're at let's see. I'm curious if we're actually going to do microfilm play. Microfilm play is super disfavored in the current meta on Taein. I hardly ever see it. I never see like that many attempts at the action test. And then also still very rare, the full book cheese. So I'm guessing this is still going to go
Banana
back
bread.
because it's been so unpopular. But we'll go ahead and see.
Also, an interesting decision. We have the Smallman as the ambassador. So going to make bugs really hard to see in the back, but we do lose the opportunity of potentially framing Smallman for doing shenanigans.
Very true. One thing that I'm not the biggest fan of the Small Man Ambassador on Taein is that it makes the drink take really obvious for when fingerprints on there. But I think you're right that like there is something to be said. Like right now, you can't see Ambassador at all. Ambassador is completely blocked. But that kind of happens anyways on Taein, and then it makes the drink takes more obvious for when there'll be fingerprints available on drinks. It's an interesting play. I'm of two minds on it.
Oh, we tried to get that walking bug, did the reverse bug just as quickly as possible as we entered the conversation, but Smallman was not close enough to us to get it. We're gonna get another opportunity here though if the ambassador pats nice, and he doesn't. He takes a wide path, so Opie, after missing out on that opportunity, he's gonna go grab the.
We get low lit. All right. Well,
Inter-
I'm not sure what this is for. If it's not a tracking mechanism, we are in great shape because we only have to flirt, and then and here I was gonna say one more mission, and it looks like it's gonna be middle statues. Oh, and we get brought back up though.
Oh, wow. That was pretty wild. That Lilith was really interesting just because he was at blue and then went to green, which you'd think deserves a highlight since you've been to. But now Opie
Oh,
not quite done yet.
if we can get this flirt here, I think we're still golden, though. I don't think Track's going to be willing to take. We do flirt before the take, but I don't think he's going to be watching close enough for that. I think we're fine here. If we had to go in a conversation circle and flirt, maybe it was going to be a little bit worse, but we're okay. And that was a big opportunity to being able to take that because only us and Pearls were the highlights at the end of the map, but we didn't do quite enough to get suspicion on us. So well done, and we're even. OP has brought it back to 4-4.
Yeah, really nice play there. Just idled a lot, got a lot of flirt progress, and then just ended up slow playing with books and got prints late. Late prints, I think, on Taein especially are really strong, just because you're not going to really get highlight for a late print. So, really nice play there by OP to tie.
Yeah, very much so. And we're going to be stepping into a pub, and we have turned bug off. I'm gonna highlight that once again. We've turned bug off. Very unusual, but not the worst decision in my mind. And I'm gonna talk about it a little bit more when we get into it. We're gonna be starting in 3, 2, 1, go. Usually it is total insanity in my mind to turn bug off on almost any map, but this is one of the sparsest maps that we have. 3 of 5 pub, and it's one of the easiest to guard bug on. So this, of all the maps to turn bug off on, this makes the most sense to me. I can't think of another map that's easier to guard bug on.
Yeah, the only opportunity would be like if you were in the bar right now, because the ambassador, the only place you can really bug safely is inside the bar, and maybe getting a reverse as the ambassador passes. Like for example, if bug was turned on, Irish could have had a reverse there, and that would have been hard to see. But that's a pretty rare situation to happen, and you have to have a good character to do it with too. So I definitely like Purloin more, a little bit more memory that you have to always be updating in your mind, whereas bug is just in the moment. Is the sniper going to be distracted?
That's a very good way to put it. I like separating out the metrics of memory overload and distraction. Bug pulls more attention of where what the sniper is directly looking at, but less cognitive overload, less things to have to keep in the back of your mind. And honestly, pub has an abundance of things that is relatively lacking in things that direct your attention, and so attention overload on pub, it doesn't really work that well. There's not that many things to look at, honestly. Like there's a little bit on swap, maybe, but we also have turn swap off, but it doesn't take that much. And then just more of it's going to be remembering things of how many times have they been flirting, who is in the purloin, who's in the pool of possible purloiners. So I like this decision, and it's not one that seems super intuitive, but I would encourage people to try to play around with this. Are we in conversation circle? I think we are. Okay, we are.
Just barely, but yeah. And I think we might get highlight for the print, maybe delegate, maybe both. Who knows? But either way, this is a pretty solid.
I'm still distracted by how much I like. I'm still just thinking about the bug thing because now I'm doing a bad job of thinking as a caster, more thinking as a player. Where I'm looking at fingerprint is a high cognition, low less awareness map mission, but it has a little bit of both because you have to be aware of all the things. Fake light of some sort on track. very specifically went over and hovered over track for a second, and I don't know what that was for. I don't know if he was trying to indicate to track at that point.
Yeah, it was a known fake to Opie because both SDAs were out. So maybe just thinking, hey, warning track was trying to fake here to bait out a shot on somebody else. So I'm going to fake low at him to get him to do something.
And it almost works. Unfortunately, by the time that Rocker goes to the bar, Delegate has finished. Although it could just be intentional, like pushing people around the map. So right now we do get knocked down though, for possibly just for inactivity. And we'll see. Maybe we'll get knocked back up if we want to actually do a real BB. There is really not much going for this BB at this point though. So Morning Track, wisely I think, bails and like just gets the reset on this. He's gonna be going for a fingerprint. And then
Yeah,
so
we could go to the far left statue. It has a half print, and that honestly might be the win condition, right?
okay, so
No, we don't go for it.
we're gonna delegate. We're gonna have a fingerprintable drink, delegate, and then we're gonna add time right here at the end, and it's a white test.
Yeah.
So
I think you have to go to statues there because I think you've lost otherwise, and you just have to hope you hit the difficult. I think that's a better out than maybe hoping for a green time ed and then living through that too. That's just going to be really difficult to get by. But yeah, just warning track. Unfortunately, not quite well paced enough to complete on time, and then he got forced into a bad position.
yeah, yeah, and I agree. Where it's like there's a big fork in opportunities there about how confident are you hitting. Basically, either way, Warning Track needed to hit a green test, as it were, to win. They're gonna have to get a green test, as it were, on the fingerprint at the statue, or they're gonna have to hit a green test at the windows. One was gonna cause overtime immediately. The other one was gonna delay overtime. So if Warning Track was able to get to the windows green time at, it was gonna look like possibly either a green time at or a long delegate to someone. He was still going to have to go delegate to someone. I was really curious of how that would have played out. But regardless, OP goes up 5-4. And we've been on a bit of a run for OP here. So a lot of momentum in their favor. Probably pretty comfortable. OP also mirrors the choices of cut missions. I'm not sure if that's sort of a decision that they specifically came into the game expecting, or if it's something that they played against. They're like, I kind of liked this. But regardless, we're going to be starting in 3, 2, 1, go.
Yeah, interestingly, people don't usually pro in that much compared to a map maybe like Tan, where there's also the bar. I think that's usually because you can get a more clean game with contacting spec seduce on this map compared to Tan, where completing inspecs is just not feasible without getting shot.
Okay, well, Track is going to be starting to feel a little bit of pressure here now that he's been dropping enough of these maps. So I don't think that's going to make him jittery. I think that's going to make him play more solid. So if we're able to basically force a decision into like a low percentage play for Track, he's going to be very reluctant to shoot early, for example. I think, but we'll kind of just see. Seduction target is Smallman on this map, so we were able to push them around a lot, especially with the delegate later. But then again, this is also one of the maps that you care about Smallman the least, so probably going to be overrating that anyways in my mind.
ST helps us out there by leaving after we talk, so giving us an excuse to come back. Although we do need to hit a green test now to complete. But we're in a solid position. I think we could potentially contact and then go for an inspect.
Agreed.
And just test warning track and dare him to take the shot.
Oh, we got a BB here. Okay, and we do. I said this is about the best a BB looks. As I say that, Double Agent leaves, specifically like spurning Opie. Oh, that's murder, because that was such a good BB otherwise. I wonder if Track noticed that DA left during the vended bread. It was pretty apparent. So right now, the people that could have done a real contact are really slim.
Yeah, it's just down to General that has real contact. But not even getting highlight for the real contact, so I think Warning Track might even be on top of this, understanding that this is very likely to be replaced.
So the thing though is it's a large pool of possible fakers because the conversation off to the right was also been a faking conversation. So another banana bread's going to come off lately, but or sorry, it'll come off later most likely. But it's not going to be the worst when it comes off later. Because a lot of the times if there's like an obvious fake opportunity for a spy and it's like, oh, I think that person faked, and then you hear another banana bread later like, oh yeah, definitely it was a fake. There's a big pool of people that were going to possibly be faking, so he's not going to be surprised. And we get a shot. I'm guessing for it was the next fingerprint. Yeah, that would have been the last fingerprint to do it. Track on top of it, able to stop the slide, and we are back to tied.
Yeah, just a little bit too greedy there towards the end. It was kind of the same thing with the ballroom game where Opie really wanted this last print really desperately, so put himself as close as possible to getting it done. And then Track, well, in that situation, he thought he saw a bug. In this situation, just thought this was an extremely spy-like action to perform.
Very true. And Yeesh, can you remind me if we split this map, we are going into overtime, correct?
That is correct.
All right.
So
Well,
it all
we are.
comes down to library, and I gotta say I favor warning track in this scenario. I think a more solid camping style will do well, and not to say that Opie doesn't have a solid sniper style. I just think that Track's experience on maps like Panopticon and Library, I think, are going to help him out more in this match.
All right. Well, I think that I agree. And yeah, let's like either way, whoever wins this first map will be going on to match point in the next game, and that is definitely the position you want to be in. So much more comfortable than being whoever is going to be taking the loss is going to be playing not just for a win, but playing playing to stay in for the tiebreakers. And we're going to be starting the game in 3, 2, 1, go.
And Library, I think, is one of the maps where, oh my, that was
There's
such a good bug. I was about to talk about the map, but then you just get a bug like that, and you just, wow, that was insanely good.
That was a great bug because it was a time of chaos reverse driving bug. A lot of the time with time of chaos, I guess it wasn't super time of chaos. It was late time of chaos. It was AC.
Banana
It was
bread.
right after the chaos. But like it was still in the spot where the sniper's still getting ready and used to the map. Where is Ambassador going? Ambassador is taking a weird path around us. We could have got another bug in there at some point. And I think we're going to be playing quick this game. We're going to be trying to get everything done real soon. I kind of want to see him jump out of this conversation. Well, actually, I'm going to slow down. This is warning track. He's going to timer flirt.
Yeah, on this map, it's really important to be aware of where the ambassador and where Toby are. If they're on the same side of the map, usually missions on the other side will be very free. In this case, they're split up, so I don't think One Track can expect to just get something by Opie right now, especially with this early bug. I think he's just gonna slow play. Ideally, maybe go for Prince. The ambassador is at Blue Bookshelf right now, so a lot of opportunities available to us to decide how we want to finish.
Very true. Unfortunately, we spent all that time in the conversation circle with our seduction target just for them to leave right before. So we don't get anything for it, but we're definitely on pace right now. So let's see. Path of least resistance to me is obviously seduction target, something like inspects, but then we still got to get one more thing done. We haven't picked up a highlight yet. Okay, here I was going to say the big decision is whether or not to go to inspects before or after, because picking up this highlight tells me that he's not going to be going for transfer. And so purloin or swap is more likely in my mind. Transfer or really honestly even fingerprint. This kind of corrals him a little bit. Now, it's not going to matter too much from the sniper's perspective, but he's going to be much less likely to do transfer or fingerprint because that you need to get lost in the party a bit more to do those. That's not a hard and fast rule, but it just seems to be a tendency. We might just be going for the purloin here. If he gets a green, it's huge. And we do not opt to go for the purloin, which is probably smart because we still have to do at least 2 more flirts.
Yeah, one thing we did miss out on that sucks is that print at middle statue. We did not take it. So now, if Opie remembers that middle statue had a print, now we have even more suspicion for half of a mission that we didn't even do. So this could be really unfortunate for Warner if we end up picking another print later. Although it's getting to that point where prints are going to be unreliable if you go for it at this point.
Very true, and I think that that's a great observation. I completely missed it myself. But the thing that might actually go in our favor in that case is Sometimes if you get the partial print and then you don't finish it, like if track does not actually go for that second print, OP might be using that as the cue to shoot boots. Boots, by the way, only highlight on the map. That might be the cue to shoot boots is going for that fingerprint. And we'll see. Okay, so we're putting a lot on this timer flirt. I'm guessing that we purloin if everything goes badly, but we still need to do the flirt no matter what. We're gonna fake contact.
Banana bread.
Unfortunately, the SDA is with us, so it doesn't lower any heat on us at all. Yeah, we
And
just get shot.
and it's enough right there. Ooh,
I
tense
think
game.
you have to be crediting Print to take that shot because no purloin, no swap, and only went to one bookshelf. Like, you have to be crediting a Print that you missed somehow, and then a bug you missed somehow. So pretty aggressive shot, in my opinion, from OP, but it's the correct one.
Very true. And I'm gonna take a look at that bug real quick. I'm just curious to see it. I liked it. And it was a very pretty bug. And so it's unfortunate because we started off with a great bug on this map, completely invisible. There was nothing that the spy could see in any way, and it's also something that isn't even suspicious as far as an AI position. The only thing that OP could have possibly done is like mentally credited as a possibility, but that is the best that they could have done. So we started off great, but unfortunately, OP has been actually able to read track on these large maps pretty
Banana
well.
bread.
Yeah, just most of the time when he's been spying, the early highlight just been kind of weighing him down when he's been trying to get those last missions. So whenever he's been highlight and then he takes another action, OP's been shooting. So like for example, the veranda game, highlight for the second book, but then shot for the BB. So just a little bit tough. If we could stay just a touch more under the radar, I think we would have had these games. But you know, that's the way SpyParty goes. It's hard to really gauge how much suspicion you have sometimes.
All right. Well, yeah, I completely agree. And this has been the closest, most tense set so far. And so Warning Track in the position where Warning Track needs to win to take this to overtime. And we're going to be stepping into what is possibly the last game of the set on Library. And then there's a lot of pressure on Track in this one. And I think definitely something I want to echo that you've said is it's just like if Track had been like 5-10% less suspicious to OP in whatever way that means, he would have been getting away with so much. These have been close shots. He's been getting a lot done, and it's been very interesting to see how OP has been reacting and being able to read just enough to get him. But anyways, regardless, now it is on Track to snipe, and we're going to be stepping in as Seek for OP, and OP wins. He's going on to face Kaylee in the semifinals. If Track wins, we're going to overtime. Starting in 3, 2, 1, go.
It all comes down to this, but OP, even though he had that pretty rough start with the red BB miss, has recovered pretty nicely and found some footing on Tan. So I think he could definitely pull this off. The position we're in right now, we get this flirt and maybe a bug.
Attempt, but not does not take, unfortunately.
Yeah, you have to be on like the edge of the conversation, like barely in order for that to work. And then if you do that, the sniper can sometimes see it. So it's a bit of a risk, but I don't mind the attempt because it's going to be usually free, especially with the guest right next to you.
Oh, we got another chance coming up. We'll see if we take it.
Banana
We've
bread.
banana bread instead.
Yeah, that's what happens when you do it just a second too early. What ends up happening is that instead of getting the
Banana
bug animation, you end up getting the BB animation.
There
And
is
then obviously he's clicking as fast as possible to try to get the bug. So now he just red BBs, but we're not higher for it, so we're okay.
Yeah, no kidding. And like for real, like I actually get nervous for the sniper when there's a red BB because like just recently in the casts, I want to say that the sniper usually loses the red BB game. Track has to not overreact, and they don't appear to have. Like they didn't low light Seek. They got a lot of low lights. They kept low lighting, low light after low light. And Track really needs to not overreact. Right now, Track is in a pretty solid position. There's been a purloin and a contact and seduce. So there's 2 more missions done, and we don't have a highlight and OP just yet. So it's going to be pretty tight, but it completely depends on how comfortable Track is going to be taking a shot on what he does see of OP from here on out. And let's see, do we have any highlights? We have no highlights in yet, so there's no obvious person that Track will shoot, because that's the other liability that Track has going for them right now. But there it is. It's enough. Just going to center statue, suspecting the rush, and that is it. Opie upsets in a lot of people's mind Track, and is going to be going to face Crazy Kaylee in the semifinals.
Wow, what is that? 2 fake BBs, 2 spy wins. Fake BB is fake red BB is the strat. That was crazy. I guess the position we were in is just going to be very difficult to see the hand movement because our back was to the sniper, and then Boots with the purloin warning track just had no idea who could have done it. Gonna be a 4 shot there because contact, inspect, seduce, purloin is a mission win if they got a bug. So yeah, just a little maybe track could have held out there, but if he thinks the rush is happening, then I don't know. You can't do much after that.
No, that was a great set, and like one thing that it does use is it uses the banana bread well, where it all came down to that green purloin, which Boots hadn't been near, but there was enough going on with all the low lighting that was happening that I think Track just lost who was in the chain completely, and so when Track sees someone at center statues, knows that Purloin has gone off, knows that Contact has gone off, and probably at least one of them is real. Flirt's probably done at that point. And then are we just going in and like crediting ourselves with maybe missing a bug? Are we just trying to finish right there and then before Sniper would want to take a shot? Because that was an early shot, but it's the kind of one that a spy might try to sneak in under us. Yeah, really bold play that works out for Opie. And wow, what a close set.
Yeah, well done all around. And now Opie versus Kaylee. Obviously, you have to favor Kaylee, but Opie just pulled it out against a camper. Not maybe as it doesn't have as many accolades as Kaylee per se, but still definitely a strong player. So I think Opie maybe can give Kaylee a run for his money.
Very true, very true. And I'm gonna look at that bracket real quick. I just kind of want to. I actually might be able to just throw it on stream real quick. What do we got with the bracket? We've got Opie Wrights versus Crazy Kaylee, and then the winner of Lazy Bear versus David W versus a Bear Rar, which everybody is hoping for the bear fight. So unfortunately, as mentioned earlier, everyone's rooting against you, David W. But we all like you, but we all want the bear fight. And then Opie versus Crazy Kaylee. Whoever wins that, gonna be in the finals. Really, like this tournament is one of the big ones where we're starting to see more and more of the newer players who haven't gotten a chance to really face some of the older players in SCL starting to show their stuff. That happened a little bit in the Summer Cup, but it is even more apparent so far here. Great stuff. Like I'm really afraid because right now I'm going to be shielded a bit from this new generation of players, but not for long. They're going to be in my league soon, either by meeting me by going up or meeting me by me dropping, and it's frightening because they are fantastic. They're making such good reads on even old players and not falling for the tricks that we like so much. Great stuff. And not to take anything from Warning Track, this was a close set. There was a couple of big risks that we took that were calculated and did not go our way. Easily could have gone either way. And for my money, the most exciting match of the night, even though I loved all the drama between Noob and Kaylee and Aber and Ryu. And
Yeah, I just
Oh, sorry. I was cutting you off. Yeesh, do you have any final thoughts on any of the matches? I don't know if you were watching beforehand, if you have any commentary now that we got you on here. I love your perspective on stuff. So if you have any thoughts on the earlier matches tonight, I would like to give you the chance to say.
honestly everybody in the lower half of the bracket is about the same skill level. like Ryu, Bear Roar, Lazy Bear, David W. I think they're all about the same skill level. So I think any of those players could just come out of that. I think it just depends on who's playing better on the day or who's making. I think the better spy will win those games. Kaylee versus OP. I think New put up a solid fight. It relies so much versus Kaylee on these swingier maps like a Pub 3-5 and Tayan that if you don't perform on those maps, it's just going to be tough. And you have to play solid all around too, so I don't know. OP's gonna have to bring the spy and the sniper game in order to take that set. And I don't know if this is correct, but I think OP is changing the format for the semifinals or the finals. I'm not quite sure about that, but if there is a change, that would be interesting. Although OP hopefully doesn't change it to, well, you're not allowed to camp for the semifinal match.
That's true. Yeah, yeah. I was saying when you're saying this, changing the rules for the semifinals, like, oh, now the tournament organizers all of a sudden changing rules. Yeah, we're not. He's not trying. He's not trying to fix it. But
No, I'm just purely joking around. But I know there was supposed to be a format change for semifinals or at least the finals. So we'll have to see what changes shake up. I think those will all be in the. So if you're not in there already, discord.gg/spyparty. Hop on in, enjoy, hang out with the community.
yes, very much so. Very exciting times for the community, especially recently, where uh, these new players are starting to break into the old guard, and like they've been very much accepted, and they very much fought for their place and earned their place among the players that have been here for forever. So this is also one of the most open that it's been for players of different skill levels. You can jump up in skill so quickly, and then be fighting players in tournaments. Like we've been running more tournaments lately than at any point. It used to be that SCL kind of crowded out the rest of the tournament, so it was harder for newer players to really get competitive experience versus older players. I know for for myself, I don't play that many matches, competitive matches outside of SCL, and so I don't think that, and I think that Kaylee has sort of like dropped off a little bit in that regard too. So sometimes you don't really get to play some of the old guard, and you have trouble practicing against them. But now that we have these consistent tournaments going on, new players are being matched up against old players, and then we can really see the different metas kind of collide a little bit, and one learns from the other, and it's wonderful. And I loved this tournament. Like I usually kind of like pay attention more to like the really old tournaments, either SCL or Summer Cup. This tournament's been great. I hope we keep doing it. It's been a lot of fun to watch. And with that, for anybody that's happened to stumble across this stream that does not have SpyParty, get yourself to either Steam and look for SpyParty, or go to www.spyparty.com and grab a code from there. I do personally suggest going to the site itself so that you get a code that also gets you to forum access for now, even though the forums are sort of dead and it's more of the Discord. The Discord is where you need to get yourself, like Yeesh was saying. Is it Discord GG SpyParty? Is that simple?
It is discord.gg/spyparty /spyparty. So yeah, hop on in, ask questions, get involved in the community. We're always hanging out there, talking about the meta, talking about new stuff, and then trying to propose new ideas. And Checker hanging out in the Discord as well, so you'll be able to talk to the developer a little bit, get some of his insights, and maybe help him out some.
That's right. Okay, thank you guys very much for tuning in and watching these really exciting games. I don't know how long it's going to be until the semifinals begin, but keep your eyes on the Discord. I'm sure there'll be plenty of announcements and hype around it. This is the focus of the community right now because there's nothing else really going on as far as SCL. There's some like balance discussion and whatnot. So we are all focused on this. There'll be tons of talk about it. You'll find out whenever we're going to be casting it again if you stay around the Discord or follow some of the SpyParty accounts on Twitter. In particular, SpyParty, just at SpyParty, and then at SpyParty fans usually keeps on top of it. You can also follow Opie, I think is around there somewhere on Twitter, and you can find them, and I'm sure that they've been on top of streaming or tweeting out the streams. And with that, I am all done. Your caster earlier for the first two sets was a Warning Track, and then joining me just recently has been Yeesh. It was fantastic casting with you both. I'm Slappy Davis, and this has been SpyParty. We will see you soon.
See you around.